Time's up. Let's do this.
We're in for a wild night.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 156 of Born to be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I'm your host, as always, Nate Wolf. It is great to be back on a beautiful Friday evening. I am joining you from Orange County, California. It's a lovely day. I'm quite sleep deprived, so you'll have to pardon me. I'm living off of caffeine here, but I am happy to be back, joined by two of my favorite people and a new friend. So Hydra, unfortunately, is out sick, but I'm joined by SchmoopieDaddy and Sheep, and we have a very special guest tonight. So let me welcome back first, Electric Sheep City. Welcome back. It's good to see you. How are you tonight?
Howdy, friends. I'm doing fantastic, and it's been like raining in like the Denver area. It's been wild. Like I'm used to this, and now it's here, and it's home. It's home now. And so I'm happy to be back, happy to be hanging out with my friends, happy to be meeting a new friend that is not a new friend for one of us. That one of us who is not a new friend to our new friend is SchmoopieDaddy.
SchmoopieDaddy, welcome back.
I am so filled with gremlin energy tonight. I once you guys were just like, yeah, let's have him on the pod. I've been so excited to have our special guest on tonight. It has been springy here in Orange County, New York, and we're sort of easing our way out of the pollen era and into like the it's hot, you're not going to wear any kind of material kind of era. So we'll take those. We'll move with it because it's what month is it? The brain damage from children.
May. It's gonna be May.
It's gonna be May. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait to interview tonight's guest. So I'm stoked for that.
Well, speaking of, will you introduce us to this week's guest, Schmoopie?
I might as well. This week's guest is a Wild Hearthstone player. He is an artist. And he's someone very important to me who has fulfilled very important roles in my life. He has been my best friend since third grade. He has been the best man at my wedding. And he has been that guy in high school that mooched rides to school and Italian sandwiches on me at lunchtime. So I'd like to welcome Neon Heron. Neon Heron, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Schmoopie. Yes. Well, I didn't have the money for sandwiches because I'd spent my money on sandwiches. So,
and there's the catch-22, right? There's the catch-22. So the line I feel like Nate usually uses is tell us as little or as much about yourself as you'd like to, starting just with that detail and maybe how you got into Hearthstone.
Sure, yeah. So, as Schmoopie said, we've been friends a really long time. We met on the first day of third grade. And if I recall correctly, we met in class. We were in class together, but then on the bus ride home, what you tell the story better than I do. What is the...
Sure. We were sitting next to each other, and like I was looking for something to say, and I said, dude, if I could do a backflip, I'd be so good at fighting. And your response was, I know. And like since then we've been pretty much fast friends.
Which I don't think we've ever actually like dissected this much, but I had never really thought about doing a backflip or fighting. Those were not skill sets I possessed at that time. And I was just like, yeah, dude, totally. Like, let's go with it, you know? And then ever since then, yeah, we've been friends. So we're friends, we're neighbors, we hang out all the time. We played a lot of strategy games together. We kind of got into gaming together. We used to play, I started playing Magic the Gathering in 1999. And you started not too long after that, I think, which was ultimately the genesis of me getting to Hearthstone. Because when Schmoopie got into it, I remember we were in my parents' yard in like 2019. And Schmoopie was like, yeah, like I'm playing this game, Hearthstone. It's like Magic, you know, it's great. You know, and I was aware of Hearthstone. I hadn't really considered trying it. And you were really like, yeah, it's so fun. Like, I'm loving it. It's, you know, it's so interesting. And I did that polite, like, yeah, totally. I'll totally think about that you do when you're like lying, and you have no intention of actually following through on it. But you're like, yeah, for how passionate you were about it, because that was cool. Because it'd been a while since, like, I think since our chess phase that we'd had a game to play together. So it's not like I didn't consider it. But then the pandemic happened, and my Magic the Gathering group couldn't meet IRL, and we were doing this, playing over Zoom with like my laptop stacked up on a bunch of textbooks or something, and you hit me up and you're like, well, it's a good time to get into Hearthstone, and I tried it out and I had no idea what was happening. It took me a really long time it took me like 2 weeks to figure out the mechanics. I couldn't figure out how like battle cries work, how targeting worked, and but then I unlocked Wild, and you're like, yeah, I love Wild, and I was like, okay, and I like eternal formats in Magic. I like playing the most powerful cards that I can, so I understood the utility of Wild. I didn't even really understand how to play the game yet, but you got me. We played some friendly matches, and you got me into Discard Warlock. It was the Outlands meta. Discard Warlock. We were playing Discard Warlock mirror matches, and I was like, I don't know what is happening. I have no idea. And then I got to D1. I didn't get a boss fight, but I got to like D1 and 2 stars like a week after unlocking Wild.
Wow.
And I did not understand how the game works yet.
Which is a testament to like the kind of grinder that Neon Heron can be when he really sets his mind to it, where he's just like, okay, this is it. We're doing this. Because you had no star bonus. You were just, it was late in the month too. It was like halfway through the month, and you're just like,
it was.
Right, I'm gonna go for it.
10 days from the end of the month when I unlocked Wild, I think, and I just didn't sleep. I mean, I was working remotely. I had no idea what was going on. I just played Hearthstone for 10 hours a day for weeks at a time in the early months of the pandemic. So, and yeah, I guess we'll probably get more into that. But outside of Hearthstone, I work in public recreation. I teach community art programming. I play competitive Ultimate Frisbee. It's my non-Hearthstone hobby.
Oh, I love Ultimate Frisbee. It's so fun.
You mean Ultimate, right?
Frisbee's also quite good at Ultimate, or he used to be anyway.
When I was in Oregon, we had some really good courses there.
Do you frolf, Nate?
What?
Do you frolf at all? Do you frolf?
I don't know what that means. I froth at the mouth. Does that count? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
The frisbee golf. Do you frisbee golf?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. No. Yeah. Not Ultimate Frisbee. Frisbee golf. Yeah. Sorry. My bad. I'm very tired. Yeah. No. The Frisbee golf. Oh my gosh, it's so fun. So fun.
Now, Neon and I have gone frolfing before. There's a nice course by me. And usually when he comes to visit me, we try to
Well, let's go. What are you doing tomorrow?
I'm going to watch a Wing Rugby game tomorrow. But
so I heard that you were talking about backflips and handstands, and you said that you didn't have those skills. Is that at that time? Does that mean that you have them now?
No, well, not those. No, I do know how to fight now, but I'm not good at backflips.
Oh,
never picked that one up.
If I could only pick one, I'd rather be able to do a backflip, I think.
Me too. Yeah. No, definitely agree. But
choose one.
Oh, dear. Useful for my job, but
so Neon Heron, do you want to tell us how you got how you chose your username?
Well, that was my my internet name at the time, because as Schmoopie said, I'm an artist. I paint with a lot of neon colors, and heron is one of my favorite birds. I paint a lot of birds. And I don't know if you can see from this angle, but I have a giant heron tattoo.
Oh, that's rad. Very cool.
We had those in our swamp we mutually grew up in. There would be some great blue herons. I always admired how terrifying and graceful they could be, but most of the time they were really gangly and awkward, which I found very relatable. So
that's great.
But now, if I were to change my name now, I'd be Mystic Eyebrow, because that's my new art name. If you want to follow me on Instagram, Mystic_Eyebrow. I don't really post about Hearthstone. I post my art, but I'll
#sellout. Perfect. Well done, sir. Well done, sir. Good segue.
on there. I should post about Hearthstone on there. I should make some Hearthstone art. That would be fun.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Some art stone.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about how Hearthstone has impacted your personal life at all?
Yeah. So right off the bat, Hearthstone impacted my personal life in the sense that the woman who I was living with and seriously considering getting engaged to didn't love my pivot into suddenly playing 10 hours a day. Very confusing. She's also not a gamer in any way. Like, she just grew up and played any like video games, card games, anything like that. We would play poker. Like, so she understood like the card games are fun, but like she didn't like that I just became this like, 10 hours a day for just months. The first like 6 months of the pandemic, I played an absolutely, huge amount of Hearthstone. And, somehow we have managed to maintain a friendship after we split up. And I'm not going to say that Hearthstone was to blame per se, but it
at least partially.
And, I still text her when I hit legend, shout out to Miriam. We're on friendly terms. But,
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, can you tell us an embarrassing story about SchmoopieDaddy?
100%.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
He's gotta pick.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Keep it friendly.
You won't yell at me about later. Well, what about the time we went canoeing?
That's fine.
Well, which time? There's two. So SchmoopieDaddy is good at many things, many athletic skills. He was a varsity soccer team captain, very capable person in general. The swimming is not his strong suit. He sinks, and as you know, I'm sure he's a physics teacher. And when we were in high school, the high school physics classes, you're supposed to go to Six Flags. That's like the annual like Six Flags physics trip. And somebody in the physics department or the school administration messed up and couldn't get us tickets. So instead, we went river rafting on the Housatonic River in Connecticut. And so it was like 4 or 5 classes worth of high schoolers in either canoes or like giant rafts. And I'm in there with Schmoopie in a canoe, Schmoopie and our other buddy, Nick. Shout out to Nick, what up? And neither of them can swim for even a little bit, and neither of them can paddle a canoe that well either. And, so we're in this river that actually has legit rapids. It's not like a calm situation. Like if you fall out of your boat, your boat is gone. And they were very severely warning us, like, a canoe with water in it weighs 1,000 pounds. You got to get out of the way if it, flips over. And then the varsity football players were in a giant raft and were going around just knocking people out of their canoes.
Oh, of course.
We had plenty. I think at least 15% of the students wiped out anyway, just by not having any skills in operating a water vehicle of any kind. And we were doing pretty well for a while, and then we started hitting some rocks, and we tipped, where canoes started filling up with water. And Schmoopie's like, "What? Well, no, Nick was the one who really panicked. You were okay, Nick was like, "What do we do?" And I was already like in the water. I was like, "Get out of the boat, dude! Like, get out of the boat." And then
to add to this, are you going to add this? Like, we're like, so we dive into the water. Like, they've been talking up how heavy this canoe is once it's filled with water. I'm jumped into the water. I'm surfacing. We're all wearing life vests, right? So I'm surfacing fairly easily. And I look back, and what the hell is bearing down on my head? But like this canoe which has not sunk, which is in fact filled to the brim with water, right?
Oh no!
Coming in hot.
And so what Neon Heron hasn't discussed is we were the first pirates on the Housatonic. We hit up a dollar store before we did the trip, and we got eye patches and we got bandanas and we dressed like pirates in order to do like crappy pirates. Like, we had a flag, which was my shirt, and a spare paddle, which we found because people kept wiping out. And we commandeered a vessel. We chased down an empty canoe. And we sure as shucks
You pillaged
we
and
commandeered
plundered.
a vessel on the Housatonic, and we gave it back to one of the teachers who was there, and we're just like, all right, this is yours now.
Wait a
And
minute for this insane, absolutely insane trip concept.
yeah, we brought water guns, which were like, they weren't really meant to be good at water guns. They were meant to just sort of be our pistols and annoy. And so like at one point, the said football players that were in a raft were like, let's get them, stroke, and like,
And you're like,
and Nick,
I
love-
Well,
I
that's
love
why
Nick.
we started pedaling faster to try to get away, and we weren't equipped for speed. We weren't built for speed.
we outran them. Mostly, I mean, off the back of the aerodynamics of the craft. Like Nick himself is built like, you know, those like the cinnamon rolls that come in like the package, and you knock it on the table and it comes out and you make the rolls.
yes.
Nick's built like the uncooked dough, and Neon Heron is like he's got like uber camp knowledge because he's just basically grew up in camp. And I'm fairly athletic, but don't have a lot of like the technical skills that are supposed to happen. So like we're all paddling furiously, wildly going sideways. If you know anything about
I was going to say,
paddling.
you're going in a circle probably.
We weren't going exactly in a circle, but I'm literally like, all right, I'm like brute forcing it around, and I'm just like, well, we're sort of going straight, but we weren't. And the raft was so ungainly because the football players and their wags were with them that as hard as they were going, stroke. I'm not even kidding. They were chanting, stroke, 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 like we were going to get like chased down by some Babylonian like trireme run by slavers, and they couldn't catch us. And so Nick calls out, "Nobody catches pirates!" And this is the sort of thing that we sort of get up to regularly if given the chance. Again, like we made a flag. I took off my shirt at one point and we tied it on to the end. And so when we were going in docking, we were waving the flag, wearing our eye patches. We had commandeered a vessel. It was a grand old time.
I'm sound clipping that.
Nobody captures pirates.
Now, I think it's fair. I think it's fair because I shared a story on Twitter about how Schmoopie Mommy, when I went to sleep, drove the wrong way on the highway for 25 minutes and thus cost us about 50 minutes of travel time. I've cost us way more travel time in the past. So, Neon Heron, do you want to tell the ferry story?
Sure, yeah. So we were driving down to Delaware, or so we thought. No, we're going to Maryland. That was what it was. And for a sad occasion, unfortunately, we're going down to Maryland for a funeral, and I took the train up. I live in New York City, so I took the train up, and the Schmoopie family picked me up at the train station. And because of the nature of the occasion, I started imbibing adult beverages pretty early in the day. So I was getting ready to take a nice old nap while we drove through New Jersey. And, at the time, y'all had this car with like one of those GPSs built into the screen. It looks like one of those, like a computer screen from an 80s movie. And it's just got and as I was drifting off to sleep, I sort of noticed that we were heading toward a body of water that didn't appear to have a bridge over it. And I just figured, well, he must know something that I don't. And so I went to sleep, and it turned out, when I woke up to the Schmoopies having a somewhat tense conversation. The nature which turned out to be because the GPS decided that the most efficient route was for us to take the ferry over the Delaware River. I didn't notice that there was no bridge. What I noticed was we were driving by the exit off the Jersey Turnpike that, based on my knowledge of New Jersey, I figured would have been where we would have turned off to get to Maryland. And I was like, well, I don't know. I certainly am in no state to contribute. So it routed us to the absolute tip of New Jersey, and the ferry across the Delaware, which if we had hit even 5 minutes of traffic more than we did, we would have missed the last ferry of the day and had to turn around and drive like 2 hours back up.
Oh my gosh.
To wow. It actually could have been way worse than it was. But we had to take the ferry to Delaware and then drive back up to Maryland. And we left at 2, I think. We were meant to go to Schmoopie's aunt's house, and we left at 2. I think we got there at 9:30.
That's about right.
After the ferry, and somewhere there's a picture of us on this ferry where Schmoopie Mommy and I are enjoying the adult beverages that they sold on the ferry. And
the ferry's awesome, by the way.
He was just so pissed at himself. He couldn't join on the fun because he had to drive again when we got off the ferry and drinking water. Just like it, you know. And then our friend left from Brooklyn to meet us at Schmoopie's aunt's house. He left at 7. He got there 15 minutes after we did.
Wow.
It was.
Well, all right. In my defense, the GPS. I didn't know there was a ferry setting. I didn't know that I had to turn off. Turn off. Ferries are optional. So
who would have thought?
The GPS doesn't take into account how long it takes the ferry to travel from point A to point B. So for its money, it was just like, oh yeah, let's just reroute here and just keep going.
Well, that's how old the GPS it was. It was designed in a time when boats were still a major method of travel. What's funny about this now is this is the way this is the Cape May Lewis ferry. This is the way we go to my aunt's every summer now, because like it's a moment to park the car, to get on the boat. The kids love the boat. The boat serves beer. Like you see porpoises sometimes waiting for the boat. Like you see horseshoe crabs. Which
cool.
if like you guys are kind of East Coasty, if you I don't know if they have horseshoe crabs out there.
We are very West Coast to you.
Sheep might have seen a horseshoe crab in Texas, but I'm not sure.
It's been a while.
It's been a minute. So they're horrifying creatures with blue blood that have been around since probably before the dinosaurs, if I recall correctly, my Neolithic history, and they are. You get to show him to like a Schmoopie, and Schmoopie's like, wow, there's a lot of dead ones. And it's like, well, yeah. Then you have a tough conversation about the circle of life. He's like, why are they so weird looking and dead? It's like, well, that's 2 separate conversations. We're gonna have to take a minute and figure that out. But yeah, no, it's awesome. It's the only way I want to make that drive, because there's a couple bridges going from New Jersey. Like that you have to go over that are just absolute nightmares traffic wise, which I was trying to avoid at the time.
See, the GPS is smart, right? The fastest distance between 2 points is a straight line. It doesn't matter if there's water in the middle. Just go that way.
Yeah, just go. It's fine.
Sometimes in life you do the right thing for the wrong reason, and that's just the way it goes. And I took a ferry on the tail end of that trip too, because Rob drove me back, and he lives on Staten Island, so I had to take the Staten Island ferry back. And I was like, this is weirdly bookended by ferry rides.
By boat rides.
Yeah,
by boat.
You ever take the Staten Island ferry? It's pretty sick.
I've never taken the Staten Island. What is the highlight of the Staten Island ferry? This interview's taken an interesting turn.
Well, it was probably like the trip of Manhattan, so you can see like the Statue of Liberty and all that. It's a nice view. It's open. You can sit in the open air part and drink beer. They don't sell beer. You're not supposed to drink beer on it, but you do anyway. And it's just like kind of nice. And the best part is you're usually leaving Staten Island, when you take it. So that's also good.
That's also a bonus, right? You're exiting Staten Island, so it's like everybody's happy. There's joyous. There's confetti.
I'm a little sad you guys didn't dress up like pirates.
I mean, he's got a cowboy hat. Is that close enough?
Sure.
So, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Let me briefly explain how this show works. We record this podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs. And the video version of this podcast is posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all the podcast apps. So however you're watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today, thank you. Yes,
You. Yeah, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. It was a really fun introduction. Really appreciate you all for hanging out, especially those of you who are joining us live on Twitch. So big shout out there. Do want to say a big thank you to Shokunin, the executive producer of our show, and to Armorn and our other patrons. We really appreciate your support. It means a lot to us. If you are interested in supporting the show, there's a few ways that you can do that. If you like, comment, subscribe to our stuff on YouTube, that helps out just to boost the algorithm or whatever. If you want to leave comments or any feedback on the podcast apps, that always helps. And if you're somebody who uses Twitch, we do have some emotes that you can unlock for free just by liking or following the page, or if there's other ones that you can get by subscribing. That's free if you use Amazon Prime. So there you go. And we do have some merch. I totally forgot to upload the new stuff, but we have old stuff, and I must need to like reconfigure it or something, because I guess SchmoopieDaddy or Schmoopie Mommy bought a new shirt and I had no idea, but that's cool. I appreciate it. I think you guys are our biggest supporters.
Her picture is way too small and my picture is way too big, Nate. Not to step on your toes and like live on set, but just like, I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna sell shirts, like, you want to make her picture bigger.
There you go.
Perfect. There we go.
We could just remove you
That's
from
gonna sell shirts. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. There are there is merch available. There's links on our website, which is borntobewildhs.com, if you're interested in checking that stuff out. Links, go to our website. If you go there, there's links to all of our different social medias, the YouTube, which has all of our back episodes. We've got all of our parody songs on there. We've got links to all of our lore episodes. If you're interested in learning the stories behind the cards, there's a dedicated page for lore. And then we have also a page for our listener series, which is a wild Hearthstone tournament series. We're just wrapping up this season, which we'll talk about later, but it is free to play in if you're interested in that sort of thing. And there's videos to the episodes, or to the matches that we've cast in the past. They're all up there. So yeah, check it out. Also, I guess finally, we do have a Discord channel. I'll post the link in the chat, but there's also a link on our website, and it's just a fun place. It's an online community with friends that we've made all across the whole world, and we share news and deck lists and funny usernames and all that stuff. So yeah, there we go. So this week's episode is dedicated to Spicy Pony, Haha Gold, Protossing, which is pretty funny, versus Hydralisk, Maxabillion, and the one I can't say on the air.
I will say, given our recent discussions on when it may or may not be appropriate to lick a goat, Spicy Pony is rather topical for us lately.
We do have Marvel Snap, some stuff going on in there, because we do a separate, like a sister show, and a separate kind of page in there for Snap stuff. So if you're interested in that, there's also some funny usernames in there, which those people, I think, maybe tend to be either a younger audience or an older audience with a younger mentality. So Mutant Farts and Diaper Wearer. Yeah, this episode's for you. Oh, so before we get into like any of the news or whatever, usually we kind of start out the show talking about our week, how it was and what we've been up to and all of that. It has been kind of an eventful, non-eventful week for me. I think work has been super busy because it's like crunch time for the budget, and so I'm putting in extra hours and learning a lot and just trying to stay afloat. But gosh, what else happened? I had this spot on my arm that I thought was like skin cancer, because my mom has had a couple of like skin cancer tags, like things removed, and it was like this sore on my arm that was just like, it was kind of like a blister scab type of thing that just was not going away, and it had been like 2 months. So I made an appointment. I had that yesterday, and like the doctor's like, yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. I was like, oh, that sucks. He's like, oh, it's cool. We'll just take it off. I'm like, oh, do I need a referral or something? He's like, nah, I'll just do it right now. And it whips out this little thing. It's like a little plastic like doodad that you hold like bendy thing with like a razor blade in it, and it like scoops. And they just like, I got a shot to numb it, and they like scooped it out, and now I have a hole in my arm right here. About yay big of where they scooped a big old piece of skin out, but like they wanted to get the whole thing and send it off for a biopsy. So anyways, they got the whole thing at least. So that was kind of cool. It's gone now. It'll be an interesting scar and it kind of hurts, but anyways, yeah, so I ended up working late last night and work is super duper busy. And I get a text from my wife who like stubbed her, like tripped getting out of the shower, stubbed her toe and like ripped her toenail off. And I feel so bad. And I was like stuck at work and I could not really even message. Like we were super busy and like under a big time crunch. And so like I had just come back from the doctor and now she's going to the doctor. And it was kind of crazy. I thought they were going to take the toenail off. And instead they gave her a bunch of shots and like jammed it back in, like up under, like where, it was like crazy. She said it hurts super bad. I feel so bad.
I'm sure. Holy moly.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like you would think that they would just like remove it, and they very much did not.
They did the opposite of that.
Yeah. So I like ouchie. So she's in a lot of pain. I feel really bad about it, and hopefully that'll heal up. But my goodness, it's been kind of a crazy couple of days. I did manage to hit legend, by the way. This was this was May. It almost feels like a week ago because it was last weekend. It was on Sunday the 7th. But I used the bad deck. We were talking earlier about droolers, and I was definitely drooling the whole time I played with this. So it's
what deck did you do it with, Nate?
It's Big Priest. Sorry, not sorry. So okay, so what I did was I took the list that White Delight or Doc Delight posted, and I took the bad cards out of it and put in the good cards. And then, I'm joking, but he was running a list with Ragnaros, and I thought it was spicy and funny, and I tried it, and it did great against the druids or like any kind of slow thing that just could not deal with like a whole board full of Ragnaroses. But like all the pirate rogues, like you pull Ragnaros and they just laugh hysterically, right? So I had to pull Ragnaros. I did have a really funny interaction with Pigpen on Twitter. He said like, what a cool name for, I think, what was the question? Like, what do you call plural plural Ragnaros? He's like, Ragnaroses. He's like, wow, that sounds like such a great disease. Don't come near to me. I have Ragnaroses. You might catch on fire, insect. And just so funny. Oh, so anyways, yeah, I drooled my way to legend with this. It was, I had a 68% win rate. It was good. I did pretty well with it. The last two, like my final boss and the one prior to that, were both Big Priest mirror matches, which were absolutely disgusting, but I won both of them, and I've played enough of that matchup that like just kind of.
What's the key?
Well, the key in that matchup it's kind of stupid, right? But Gift of Luminance is the key. That and then like your Lesser Diamond Spellstone. So you have to be like super greedy. But here's the fun thing, right? If they play the funny cards first, you can Gift of Luminance on their Neptulon to get a copy of it, and then it creates the arms, and then you can clear their board with it.
Oh, that's cute.
Which is cute, right? And then it goes in your res pool, which you want, and you want to be kind of greedy with your spellstone, especially this only runs 2 minions, right? It's a Blood of Gahun and a Neptulon. That's it. And so, but anyways, the other thing that's fun, and I think people know about it, but maybe they don't, is if you're playing in the mirror match and your opponent's got this big giant board, including a Neptulon, if you play Hysteria on one of the Neptulon arms, like it'll clear the entire board because it's immune and it'll just keep attacking until everything dies. And so it's like an out. Like if they build this giant board, you just Hysteria one of the Neptulon claws, and they still have
now you just have a 4/2.
Right? It's kind of gross. And the other thing is like I high roll like a god, so that helped. There were times where it was like 50-50. Okay, well, if I get the taunt, then I win. And if I get the Neptulon, then I lose. Like, yeah, but you have to play to your outs, right? So what was like not going to do it? I mean, and so I just did it. Now, I will say Love Everlasting is just a nasty card. I think it's really like insanely good. I think that it probably goes in a lot of priest decks like forever. It's just it like this deck didn't need to be. Well, I will say I think Tempo Storm has it in like tier 3 or something, which is fine, but it's pretty gnarly. And with a deck that's only got 2 minions and all spells, like playing Love Everlasting that reduces the cost of your spells by 3 every turn for the rest of the game, is crazy. Which is why you're running 2 Idols of Yasharj, like, because why not? You never pay full price for anything. It's crazy. Eternal Servitude, and then that between that and Illuminations, like the deck is kind of gross. I was losing to the 2 things that I was losing against were like Pirate Rogues, because they're just so fast that like when you die on turn 4, like you're not alive for your turn 5 taunt, right? Or I won some of those, but I don't know.
You felt most vulnerable during that spot.
I did, although the cards that I added, I took a couple of cards out of Dr. Light's list and I added into Shadowcloth Needles to help against the Pirate Rogue matchup, and I added the I don't know, something else that I can't remember. Anyways, but those helped. Those helped quite a bit. Even Shaman was an interesting matchup. Like that, it actually is pretty hard because they can just build a giant board over and over and over. And this version kind of goes pretty all in on like trying to get your giant minions, not on like removal. And so there's some removal, like there's 2 penances and there's a couple Spirit Lashes, but like most of the deck is either trying to find your Love Everlasting or trying to find your, your cards that'll get your giant minions. Did I feel morally vulnerable when I'm playing the evil deck? No.
Look at Shadow now.
No, my heart is very cold and I'm a bad person. I felt no remorse. No, you know what? Like it's fine. There was a lot of people playing like I lost to Shutterwalk. Shutterwalk feels really strong right now because it has the Murloc package that just not only does it clear your whole board, but it also dumps a whole bunch of stats on the board and it's very difficult to deal with. I was losing to Pirate Rogue. I was losing to all the people playing the stupid Infinite Turn Mage. Mm-hmm. Thanks, SchmoopieDaddy, for popularizing yet another disgusting mage list. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. Like 68% win rate is good, I guess. That's low for wild, but it did fine. It felt good. I don't know. I the reason that I played it really is because like I didn't want to have to think super hard. I'm not trying to be like snarky. It's just like the deck has a very clear like game plan, and like all you gotta really do is like stick to the game plan, and you have to not die, but as long as you can like remove some stuff, then it was kind of doing what it was designed to do. Hydra and I ended up playing the same deck actually, and so he's not here, but I want to give big shout out to Hydra also, who I think it was today. I believe so. Hit where is it? Here it is. Hit Legend as well. So very cool. Hooray! With the same list. It's the same list here. I think I'm like 99% sure it's the same. Yeah. Anyways, it's good. It's good if you need priest wins, you're looking for something to play. I don't know. I don't deck shame, right? If people want to play something, like, let them play it. I get frustrated, like, losing to like Shutterwalk loops, but yeah, it's a deck. So that was my week. I'm like, it's been a week. Sheep, how was your week?
My week has been pretty good. So I was still doing more moving stuff earlier this week. Finally got internet here last Saturday morning, which is good. A lot of unboxing. As far as like wild Hearthstone playing, I've predominantly been playing. It will come as no surprise to anyone. Even Death Knight. I haven't like started grinding for Legend quite yet. Been playing a little bit more Battlegrounds this week because the new Battlegrounds stuff like came out, and I've got a whole like battle pass thing to chase. So been having fun in the BGs. Played my whatchamacallit. That's helpful. Played my THL match, which was standard earlier this week, and won 3-2. So like 5 games. That was a pretty close one against actually a longtime friend, Jespin, who also played in a Masters tour a little while ago. So like was pretty cool to like play against someone who I've known for like years and who's had like a lot of success recently. And I'm not gonna pretend otherwise. It felt good to win.
Yeah.
So it's been a pretty action-packed week. A lot of work, a lot of unpacking, and a lot of kind of like different toe dipping into different Hearthstone areas, but not kind of going hard into any of them yet. So just kind of catching up after like being like mostly AFK due to like moving for like weeks.
Oh, moving is like, it's an experience, man. I tell you, it just is exhausting. And then trying to unpack everything and have like your temporary setup and figuring out like, and then you got a kid on top of it. It's like, what? I don't know.
Well, and unlike about this time last year, I only am moving like 20 minutes down the road, which means that I'm not like doing everything all at once. So it's like 20 minutes over there, grab a load of stuff, 20 minutes back, unpack that, 20 minutes over there. And honestly, I kind of wish that we had just like put it all in a big old truck and like driven it over here. But also that would have been expensive in its own way too. So we've got all the stuff over here. This weekend should be like bringing the last of the stuff, knock on wood, over from the old place and like cleaning it up. So like the end is nigh.
Nice.
My background will change marginally as I continue to like unbox and like refine stuff, but like the new place is straight up like usable now, which is a huge milestone. What about you? Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I remarked in like our DMs that like it looked like you were shooting from like a larger space than you have in the past. But maybe that's just an optical illusion because you're kind of a bigger dude, like just a taller dude in a normal space, so you make it look smaller. I don't know.
Yeah, so the very last place that it was a smaller room. I was going to be in like the bigger non-master bedroom, and then the way that the like windows and doors and stuff like that in it were set up, it just wasn't going to work like we needed it to, right? So I went to the smallest bedroom instead because it was better for layout. But yeah, it was a much smaller space there for sure. This one, however, the lamb, my son, he and I have the same size room. So like this is of course like my home office and like podcasting and general like man cave style room. mine does not have the walk-in closet like his does. So we did give him the, walk-in closet, but he and I have the same size like room thing there. So yeah, bigger room, bigger place, and like definitely laying roots here. So very excited to like not just be in the place that was always intended to be like a temporary like 1 year stand versus like, okay, here's where we're gonna be for a while. Feels good.
Nice. Very good.
How about you, SchmoopieDaddy? How has your week been in both life and ladder?
Sure, in life, it's been kind of a fun week. I gave my last test in like my college level physics, and in my more, we'll say, elective level physics, I've been doing marble roller coasters. I have my students make roller coasters out of pipes, insulation, and duct tape, and I give them certain challenges like make the highest hill after you start, or make the longest jump into a cup. And what's really neat on weeks like this is you kind of set it up, and it's almost like cheating, because like you give them something to do, and you just sort of sit back, and they just sort of do it. Like there's like a natural sense of like competition. It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna try this. And even the kids that normally don't do a whole lot kind of get sucked into like pretending to try at least, and like trying for longer than they normally would have. And like if I have them engaged for 25 minutes out of a 40-minute class when normally they're sleeping 5 minutes into class, like heck yeah, like we take those.
Your job sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So like this was a really like smooth week personally for that reason. And then in Hearthstone, I have been sort of dissatisfied with myself and my performance this expansion so far. I've been trying a bunch of different decks. I can't seem to get the meta decks right. Like I don't understand how anybody doesn't just gas out with Bonk Druid. And I think it might be a case of me playing against people who know how to play against Bonk Druid, but I'm still figuring out Bonk Druid.
You know what?
So like
the taunt.
I'm playing catch up. Yeah, I got like but taunt. So like I'm playing catch up, and I need to spend more time watching people like Corb or Meowth play the deck.
Yeah.
To kind of like figure out like how to play it, and like what turns to go in and what turns I just sort of hang it back. What were you gonna say, Sheep?
So the way that I've always approached Bonk Druid, I say always, like, it's been super long standing recently, but you know what I mean. The way that I approach Bonk Druid is, of course, make your milestones for quest progression as close as possible. Don't go over any more than you can. Save your rake for those pesky taunts so that you can keep on hitting face. And then, of course, like drop guff the same time that you like activate them, if at all possible. So that like things like Dirty Rat, can interact. I haven't played as much Bonk Druid in the past week, but the week before that, whenever I was playing like on mobile, that was how I was playing and having success there.
So what was funny was just like so mostly I've been doing that. I've been especially like miserly with my rakes, because usually if I'm playing against like even shaman, I know what they're trying to do. Because if I'm the even shaman, I'm trying to make every single other type of totem except for taunt totem, and then drop that.
Right.
And so I want my hero power to always be taunt totem, because then I have infinite taunt, and then my druid opponent is sad. But something I was actually watching Corb do that was interesting that I haven't tried yet was he was actually completing the quest on 4.
Interesting.
And sort of saying, okay, if you want to rat me, you've got an 8/8. What are you going to do about it?
True. And
since he's playing the same deck that has Arcane Giants in it, it's just like, okay, now I have 2 8/8s. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Yep.
And I saw him win a lot of games just like where he didn't get the quest reward down, but it didn't matter because they didn't clear it once they ratted it. So it's just like, all right, classic priest player rats. Minion dies to minion that was ratted, right? So I thought that was interesting. But I just in general, I haven't been sort of satisfied with my performance. I haven't been all that satisfied with even Shaman and how that was going. But this week I had a real purple patch with Cute Warrior. And I really picked up the deck kind of in the mood of just like, all right, well, you know what? If it's burning, might as well light it up. And I didn't expect to do well with the deck. And kind of had this kind of crazy like 15-4 run where I shot up from like rank rank 600 or like rank 650 to near the top 300, and Nate's showing the deck on the screen now. But I will talk about it in a little bit more depth later. But I had a lot of fun with it, and I was like, wow, here's this deck that's doing like actual powerful things. And what was kind of neat at the time was just like it was just sort of uniquely farming the meta I was seeing.
Cool.
And so I was sort of capitalizing on that, and that felt good. That felt good because I've been playing goofy stuff like cute Warlock, which theoretically has a very similar matchup spread, but isn't nearly as good into Pirate Rogue. I was playing Curse Warlock. I was just trying to find sort of like different off meta avenues to approach the meta and kind of hitting dead ends and sort of being a little bit depressed. So this was a good little lift me up in Hearthstone. I got the Neon tweet for it.
Nice.
Thank you, Neon Heron, for the Neon tweet. By the way, has anybody ever added you, Neon, for thinking that you run the website? And then also, how was your week?
Yes, and it happened a few times before I was plugged into the community at all, so I was really confused, and I think I confused some people even further in return. But also, yeah, I had a nice week. I work at a cultural arts center. We had a couple of events. I taught a couple of fun painting classes, and I've been having a lot of fun playing Wild, y'all. Wild's really, I like this meta a lot more than I've liked, I think, any meta in the last year or so.
Nice.
Part of my favorite deck is now viable again, Handbuff Paladin. And it's been really fun just kicking it around and learning to play it again. Because for about the last year, I've been playing Shadow Priest. And I like playing Shadow Priest, but it's sort of like I do my legend climb and it's, okay, I got just X amount of mind blasts until legend. And, after a while, it's just kind of like a routine. And I'm having a lot more fun with this meta. I've played the most Wild in the last week than I've played in like months. It's great.
Oh, nice.
You
Nice.
re-rolled a Bee Gees quest today. Like that made me proud.
Yeah, so I was like a Wild exclusive player for the first 2 years I played Hearthstone, and then I got really hooked on Bee Gees and just played Wild to Legend and then Bee Gees the rest of the month. And I haven't even played since the new update. So, and I'm back, baby.
Nice.
Wild
I'm excited to talk about your hand buff deck too, because it looks pretty spicy, and I got a couple screenshots over here that are pretty good. So I like it.
Have we entered the phase?
Yeah, I think so.
Or are we feeling well?
The news. The news is so good.
That phase?
Oh yeah.
That phase.
Well, there's not really a lot of news, but there's some. I guess like what applies to Wild versus what doesn't. And there's a lot of non-Wild news this week. There's a lot of stuff in the shop, by the way. A lot of times we don't talk about it, but like for those of you who missed the N'Zoth portrait, it was a pre-order for one of the sets a long time ago. And it's really cool. And it's back if you didn't get it and now you want it.
Glorious and terrible.
It's nothing as it seems. Nothing as it seems. Nothing as it seems. That's for plot twist and Alec, by the way. Anyway, go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, so it's back. I don't know. I had it, but I love it. It's really fun. It's cool, and if you missed it, yeah, go get it. But there's new ones also. So there's a Deathwing. It was like Death Metal Deathwing or something like that. It's pretty cool. And I don't know. There was a couple others. And then of course we have MC Blingtron, which was controversial in its own way. Oh, thank you.
Honestly, I really like it.
It's kind of fun. Although I do think that what? Sorry, my kid was trying to talk to me. I do think like all these 3D portraits remind me of like bad Warcraft 3 like 3D type portrait things, and like the frames are like super chunky, and I can't tell if it's on purpose here because he's like supposed to be, but I bought it anyways. MC Blingtron, though, how can you not? The interesting thing here is, excuse me, you see this tag on the, I don't know, if the audio listeners, you won't see it, but the video people will, or will describe it. Like there's a little blue banner or a little ribbon up on the upper right that says plus 20% value. You're like, what are you talking about? 20% value? Like there's no extra value. Like it's the same price it's always been. We're like, what are you talking about?
Same deal. It's the portrait in 5 packs. Like what's the big deal?
Well, so I learned something new. I learned something.
Plot thickens. Yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting. So as it turns out, I did not know this, but and a lot of people were upset, right? Because it's like, hey, what do you mean 20%? Like that's not extra value. Like you're just trying to get people to buy this. It's the same price it's always been. And then, so Hearthstone Top Decks, this is a tweet this week. I'm just going to read it. Yesterday, I was pretty angry about the plus 20% value on the new Blingtron bundle. What extra value? But did you know that you can at any time buy legendary skins in your collection manager for 2,500 runestones? I kid you not. I didn't know that, and I cover the game for a living. I was 100% sure that the only way to get those previously was through bundles that cost the same and offered the same items. So the 20% value made no sense at all. But the 20% value is from the packs you also get when you buy it now versus later. You basically get 5 more packs now. I'm still not a big fan of it. It reminds me too much of shady mobile games, but now it makes much more sense. But Blizzard, please advertise your new features like selling legendary portraits at any time. If I didn't know it, I bet that most of the player base also didn't. I also did not. So apparently you can go into your collection manager and pull up. So there's a picture of the Arthas one on the screen. And it says down at the bottom of it, 2,500 runestones. So like, even if it's not in the shop, like you can get it whenever. And I have to imagine that it probably works for the other ones too, like the Sylvanas one and the Warrior one. I don't know. I'd have to ask someone to do it because I have them. But that was interesting.
And I think that it's new that you can buy them from the collection as well. Which is why we hadn't seen it before, and also why we hadn't seen the like 20% value added savings. Buy now. So I think that it's a new thing that people can still get them. They're still charging monies, but you can pay the same amount of monies and get 5 packs, which was the normal thing. But now you can actually just get it later for the same amount of monies and no packs, which keeps people from like missing out on it, which is good. But also, yeah, the whole like feeling like a shady mobile game is still definitely there with that like 20% savings, like buy now or you're missing this. But I'd rather that than just like people not be able to buy it later at all if they like really wanted it. I mean, that's something that we've on this show have been kind of like advocating for a while, is like, if I want to buy your stuff, like why would you like make it sunset like in a certain time period? Like if I don't get paid until a certain time, or like, you know, I just moved, maybe it's not a good time for me to like buy MC Blingtron right now, then like,
yeah, it's pretty cool that you can get it later, right?
Miss out on it. Yeah.
I did not know that was a thing. So actually it seems pretty cool. The 5 packs, I mean, I guess it's good, right? But
save for the mini set, like that's like the class packs, just like that's like the insta mini set. If you're gonna do it that way, right?
I'm really curious about the emotes for MC Blingtron. I have not listened to them yet. I'll have to track them down because I bet they're good. But I don't know. Oh, are they? Yeah.
Spoiler alert: they're really really funny. They're really good. It's MC Blingtron.
Spoiler.
This portrait seems like the ultimate tilt your opponent portrait, because like I can't stand it.
There's
it's good, but I would buy it if it meant that I had a competitive edge getting it in case. I would buy it and use it and love it if it got in my opponent's heads. And I like all right, Neon Heron, you see this coming at you. You see MC Blingtron, and like he's doing his thing. What do you do, sir? No, we lost you again.
Oh no, you're muted.
The audio. What did you do? There you are. You're back.
Am I back?
You're back.
MC Bleedingtron's coming at you. What do you do?
What I did was I punched him in the face till he died. You know.
Spoken like a true
what
shadow priest.
that skin for. Like I was trying to remember, and I've seen it a couple times, and I think I keep beating it. So that makes me think it's age, maybe, or what?
We're not getting the value.
What class is that portrait for?
Rogue.
Rogue.
Yeah, because I beat those a lot. I don't know what they like. I beat them really badly, or they beat me really badly. So either way, the game's over pretty quick. And I was just kind of like, "Oh, cool robot, man! Like nice, you know." Like I wasn't paying attention, you know, that had come out. So I don't know. I'm kind of a Luddite in the sense that all these cosmetic changes, I'm like, cool, like good for you, but I can't keep track of it. It's made the game harder for me in the sense that I can't easily recognize like what class I'm playing against.
Hey, it's grab bag. I know that happened. That used to happen to me. Like
priests and druids this expansion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Nate. You were saying.
Oh, it's the same thing. I mean, it's just some of them like you don't know.
Before they came out with all these additional portraits, it was really easy to just be like, okay, like every hero has like 1 or 2 skins or whatever, and you instantly know like who you're playing against. And then now it's I don't know, but I like the Blingtron. I would buy it if I bought cosmetic stuff, which I don't. I'm free to play right now. Although shout out to Schmoopie because part of his pitch for getting me into the game was he bought me like 200 packs. Like when
Wow.
I first,
Daddy.
Whoa.
But I'm free to play right now, so I'm not buying Blingtron, but I think he's great. Big fan.
That's rad.
I do agree with you though that the animated portraits have kind of a weird, like I'm not a big fan of the animated portraits. The Blingtron one is honestly the first one I've actually liked.
Yeah,
So.
they're kind of weird. I don't know. I mean, I like the idea. I remember when my brain wants to say Knights of the Frozen Throne, but it's March of the Lich King came out, and they had that animated trailer, and it was like all cartoony. And I thought,
good.
oh my gosh, that's amazing! Like if they made animated portraits that were like that style, animated like cartoons or whatever, it'd be amazing. It'd be so cool. But these ones, like they try to make them 3D, like polygon 3D, but they don't look like good 3D. They look like, I don't know, like they have good 3D technology, right? Like Diablo's great, but they look
technology.
like that's right. I might even have it queued up here.
Technology.
They look like chunky Warcraft 3 ports. Like I don't know. They just, you know, or maybe like the concept is cool, and what kills it for me is that the portrait is like super big. My brother used to play a bunch of WoW, and I always would joke that like, oh, this is the game with the people with the giant shoulder pads, right? Because like every person has these giant shoulder pads with spikes and giant boots with spike knees, and just everything was like big and sticking out everywhere, and that's what these frames are. And it, I think honestly, like it kind of distracts from the animated portrait a little bit, in my opinion. But like, whatever. I'm just being a snob, so it doesn't really
For
even
me,
matter.
and I think they're getting better at it with the newer portraits. Like the reactions to the actual actions in the game are getting tighter. So like originally you'd like bop Arthas, and he'd be like, there'd be a delay, and he'd be like, ugh. And you're like, all right, that's pretty lame. And now I think it's pretty well, like they got the timing a lot better. I still think it's funny that you can pay 25 runestones for like, you know, can't go within 300 feet of a YMCA Arthas. But like that just seems like a marketing fail, right? Like I should know what I'm able to buy. And I kind of like what I've found so compelling about reading that tweet. It was just like, I feel like I'm somebody who's pretty plugged into the game. Like we all are. Like we're helping produce content towards it. No idea that this was a feature. So either they shipped it out in the dark of night, and we're just like, okay, we can do this now, so that we can put this little blue banner on, or it's always been this way and they've never advertised it. Maybe because they wanted like the original bundles to be successful. I don't know. But it's like it's really weird and strange and like feels like a marketing fail. Not to be too harsh, but it's just odd. It's really odd.
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of strange.
And see, I've been playing even DK lately, so like I can't play odd stuff. I just can't.
Wow.
Moving on.
You will be happy to know you'll be happy to know that there's a new a Noyotron skin coming out very soon.
I am very happy about this. Anoizo. So it's Sir Anoizo, and it looks like he's the like annoying fan card rather than like Noyotron. But like let's be real, they're all that like annoying mech, happy go lucky, love it.
I was gonna say that. I mean, they're all basically the same. I can't wait until one day we can make just a full on like a Noyotron deck of like nothing but a Noyotrons. It's just
I use him for Clown Paladin. Like he's the perfect skin for Clown Paladin. Because like I did the big dumb stupid thing.
Hello.
You lost. Hello.
It's just a matter of time, right?
Can you have A1 Legend with Clown Paladin? Because that would be pretty fun.
Ooh.
No.
I believe in you.
It's impossible.
I mean, it is with that attitude.
It's not in. It is that attitude. All right, I take that back. If you gave me the entire month to try and hit it with Clown Paladin, I might.
No, you have to hit day one. You have to hit day one.
No, I couldn't hit day one. No, I couldn't do it day one. Even with 11x, it's not successful enough.
Again, not with that attitude.
Okay, fine. You're gonna bait me into playing Clown Paladin.
Oh gosh,
do this.
Don't
bring best friends onto the show. Friends don't let best friends go on the show. Is there another news story? Help us. Move on from this conversation. I'm getting pinned.
Welcome to the news. The news is so
There's an Aleko tweet somewhere. Where's Aleko?
No, there is. And there's one other thing too that we can be angry about for a little while if we want.
Oh yeah.
Let's be mad about something. Okay, so good news, bad news, right? So there's another heroic tavern brawl coming out very soon, starting the 17th. That's in about a week. What that means is that the mini set is right around the corner, right? Because they always do this to get you to like drop all your gold right before the mini set comes out. I mean, that's the running joke, but it also is like always true. So
it's also true. Yeah.
So here's the interesting thing with this. So starting May 17th, that is a Wednesday, by the way, next Wednesday. Starting on May 17th, the Heroic Tavern Brawl in the standard format is back for more fierce competition against top players. Pay the entry fee and then play until you either get 3 losses or 12 wins. The further you get, the bigger your rewards. And it's hard to see it, but the risk reward is pretty high. But if you win the 12, right, you get a bunch of dust and a bunch of gold legendary cards and a bunch of packs and all of that. But yeah, this is where it gets a little nutty, right? They definitely spiced it up this time around. So there's something new. Let me put the next picture up on the screen so I can read it. There will also be 3 special legendary quests active during the Heroic Brawl. Win 1 game of Hearthstone, even outside of the Heroic Tavern Brawl, to win 1 standard pack. That means that players who don't want to participate in the Heroic Tavern Brawl can still easily get their weekly Tavern Brawl pack, and players who do participate in the Heroic Tavern Brawl get a little additional prizing. Okay, everyone gets a free pack. Cool. Win 3 games in a Heroic Tavern Brawl across any number of runs to get the new Frostmonger Sai Death Knight hero skin. Okay, that's cool. That's like last time, right? Okay, so let me just pause here. That's the blue dude on the top. Very cool portrait. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. So last time we had the green one, right? It's like Scarlet or something like that. Which doesn't really make sense, but anyways. I remember when it came out and it was like you have to win 3 games in a Tavern Brawl run in order to get this, and everyone freaked out. It was like, wait a minute, I got to pay money for this and I got to win 3. What if I don't win 3? And it was like, well, and then they either retconned it very quickly or
straight up changed it.
You know, they either did that or they miscommunicated, one or the other, and it happened so quickly that I don't really know. But it was like, oh, actually, it's just win 3 games across any number of runs, and you'll get it. Like, oh, okay, that's doable, probably, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I did it in 1 run, but it was like, all right, 3 games is doable, whatever. So here's the rub, right? So that one's relatively achievable, and if you have to play multiple games, like, all right, whatever. And if you're not into cosmetics, then you don't care. Now here's the second part. Win an astonishing 12 games in a single heroic tavern brawl run for the ultimate prize, the Crimson Night Sigh hero skin. Yes, the cool looking red one on the bottom. You have to win 12 runs in 1 heroic tavern brawl run.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
I've played a lot of heroic tavern brawl.
The entire
11 once.
The entire like Twitterverse was very triggered for a day there. I actually yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a big yikes for me just because like it's very difficult. And I think that Martian Boo actually had probably the best take that I've seen on this, because here's where it's funky for me is like somebody who, like, if you don't collect the portraits, like, you don't care, right? But if you do collect them all, it's like, oh, well, I have to be really good in order to do this. And it's not like 12 wins spread across multiple tavern brawls. It's like 12 wins in 1. Which is very difficult, right? So the idea is, well, it's skill capped. And I don't necessarily have an issue with it, but not only is it skill capped, it's also time capped, right? You have 1 week to do it. And there's a paywall. So heroic tavern brawl costs what, like $10 to do?
Yeah, $10 or 1,000 gold.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. And the average person is going to get like 3 or 4 wins or something like that, right? And of course, like all the good players and the streamers or whatever, like I'm sure they'll get it. But it's just like, I don't know. It's talk about high risk. It's a lot. I'm pulling up Martian's tweet because like I really agree with this quite a bit. I'm scrolling, by the way. Oh, there's other news that I forgot about. I'll bring it up in a second. I can't find the tweet offhand. Oh, here it is. Long story short, here's the idea is not necessarily that it's like the idea that it's skill capped is okay. Like, cool. Give us something to try to achieve, right? Like, let me get it's like 1,000 win portrait or like, 12 game win streak portrait, like, or
the legend card back or Arthas, the hero portrait that you have to beat the Lich King and there's precedence for that.
Yeah, so that's not really, that's fine. It's just that it's behind money and time. All right, here's the tweet. Having a limited time portrait locked behind 12 wins in the expensive tavern brawl is my least favorite change of all time. The most fun event in Hearthstone that I look forward to every expansion is now going to be a source of anxiety. And then there's a thread here. Update. I kind of hate that I care about this, frankly. Cosmetic rewards for skill and dedication, good. Cosmetics for very limited time that requires a lot of wallet to have a reasonable shot at acquiring it, bad. 1 is awesome and does not require 2. And I totally agree with that, right? Like,
that's fair.
Cosmetic reward for skill, cool, man. Like, you hit legend or you get top 500 or you get, whatever it is. Like, so I'll just read the thread here. If this was the 12 win heroic skin, I'd have no issue. If you don't get it this time, you could try again when it comes around again. If it was for normal arena pricing and attainable for the whole expansion, I'd have no issue. Achieving rank 1 with the skin attached to it would be cool. Finishing top 200, having a skin attached to it would be cool. Reaching legend in a given month, having a skin attached to it would be cool for me, but maybe not for players with more limited time. Playing 500 games with a specific card in your deck, like Nozdormu, would be cool. Reaching legend with a specific class would be cool. Reaching legend without any spells in your deck would be cool. Finishing top 500 standard in consecutive months would be cool. I look forward to the heroic Tavern Brawl every expansion because it's fun to risk some gold/money for a chance at earning exciting rewards if I do well. These are just for fun stakes for me because I don't lose out on anything if I fail. Having to do unreasonably well in any one specific heroic brawl or miss out on something you want entirely lessens the fun. Now, there's pressure to do absurdly well within whatever your budget is, and suddenly even doing well feels awful. At the end of the day, whatever, it's a cosmetic in a video game, and hearing myself talk about this all day has made me hate that I care about this. The reasonable course of action is to care less about something I'm used to valuing, and that's just awkward to do suddenly. TLDR, it makes me like Hearthstone's cosmetics and the Heroic Tavern Brawl less, and I liked them both a lot. That's just my feedback as a Hearthstone consumer. And yeah, I totally agree with it. I think that's a really good take, actually. Like, I like the idea of a skill capped reward, but that it's like expensive and very time limited. Like, yeah, that kind of dampens it for me. And it sucks. Like, if it was like a Nemsy skin, I wouldn't even blink, right? Like, oh, whatever. But like, it's a cool one.
Nemsy.
It's a really cool one, and I want it. And then that's the hard part. It's like, wait a minute. Like, I gotta do it. Like, I gotta win 12 in one of these.
Can I yes and you a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
So like, I even saw Dr. Light kind of mauled at the unveiling of this, kind of saying like, listen, I busted my butt to get 1K Demon Hunter wins, and now I'm not even gonna have the most exclusive. I said Demon Hunter, didn't I? Death Knight. I busted my butt for 1K Death Knight wins, and now I will not own the most exclusive Death Knight portrait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
because he's saying he himself, as a very skilled player, somebody who cracks top 200, 300 in standard, playing Unholy Death Knight, is still
which is
feeling
really good
like
in standard right now, by the way.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna we're gonna be swimming in it in the Brawl.
Yeah.
He's gonna feel like if he doesn't get this, he's gonna miss out. And like this, like I get the FOMO. I do get the FOMO. I'm actually kind of in favor of this kind of like get good skin. I think it's kind of neat. I think it's like a nice little like feather in the cap for. It'd make me
have a reason to try hard, right? Like after you get the legend card back.
Yeah.
Like what's it's incentive to play and do well.
I like it.
Yeah.
Like I think it's nice to highlight like, hey, you had a really special moment where you got your 12-win Brawl. Like I'm not unsympathetic to Martian's perspective, where it's just like, well, like I could get this, but like now, like something that I normally enjoy is now a point of anxiety for now that I'm I'm playing this and I really want this skin, but at the same time, this is supposed to be fun and it's not fun. I don't know. I kind of like that there's like a prize on the line because we are getting one anyway, right? Like we're getting kind of like our participation trophy in the blue one, right? Like if you're gonna like seriously take a shot at the Brawl, I think the blue one's a pretty good Death Knight portrait.
I like it. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
The red one's sick, in my opinion. I like the red one. I think it's really cool looking.
Where's the green one?
I don't.
We got the green one last.
We got the green one.
Yeah.
I don't expect to earn the red one, right? And I'm kind of have made my peace that I won't. Here's my other sort of dovetail to that. You think this is the only time this skin is going to be available? Do you really think this is the only time it's going to be available? You're going to be able to buy this for 2,000 gold 2 years from now. It's going to come back around. It always does.
I hope so.
That's the pattern that they've been following, where they've got these really exclusive kind of at the time cosmetics, and they are exclusive at the time, and they're exclusive for a long time. But that long time usually has a shelf life of about 2 years. So I would expect that these would come back around for new players who never got the chance to earn them in the first place, because Blizzard wants to tap into that market. So whatever their statisticians say is the best time to wait until enough new players have joined, until they think they can farm value from it, until I'll give you a great example. Like as a new player, I'm queuing up, and I see Khadgar as a mage portrait, or Maiev as a not Maiev, Medivh as a mage portrait, and I'm just like, well, how do I get that portrait? Because like that's cool. They're not Jaina. I like Jaina, but I don't always want to be Jaina. This is back when like cosmetics, right, were much rarer in Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Then it was like you either got it then or you never got it, and they brought those back around. Like I have both those cosmetics now, and I never experienced the event that produced them. I expect this will come back around. So I'm not of the same mind where I'm like, this is my one and only shot at this. And
You know
so
what?
I don't feel the same pressure.
I think you're probably right, because when I got Tyrande, it was, you had to log into Twitch Prime, right? Like way back when it first came out. When I got Khadgar, the first Khadgar, you had to pay a $5 donation to WWE or WWF, whatever, the non-wrestling one, right? And it was only available for a week, right? And you could only do it on an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like,
I borrowed my wife's iPhone in order to do it. Yep.
yeah. And it was like, but it was super exclusive and it was super time limited. But then they re-released it later, like you said. And even I think it's a good example of this. The N'Zoth portrait that just came back today or this week, was one that it was tied to a pre-order, and a lot of times like those ones they don't release, or it takes them a long time, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Release them. Yeah.
And like you said, it'll probably take about 2 years is kind of the average. Like, all right, it'll be a while, but then they'll probably just sell it for money. There will be a period of exclusivity.
But there will be a little asterisk that says earnable by success in the Tavern Brawl circa blah, 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 or purchasable by shop.
Yeah.
Does dilute the skill cap nature of it, you know? I mean, if you actually get 12 wins, which is, I mean, I think my max Tavern Brawl was like 5, so you know, I respect anyone who can get 12 wins, but then somebody can just buy it a couple of years later. Like, does that dilute the achievement of it or the rarity of it? Like,
So I think those are two kind of different questions, right? Like, does it dilute the achievement of it? Absolutely not. Does it dilute the rarity of it? Absolutely, right? Like, it's going to be one of, if not the rarest portrait in the game. To, if you can buy it with monies, not so much, right? And I think that having something that is like an achievement, I think it was Blister Guy on Walk to Work earlier this week said something along the lines of historically these kind of like big achievement cosmetics that people only really get for, you know, like being in a Masters tour or, you know, winning like being at Worlds or whatever. Those are typically card backs. This is the first one that is a hero portrait. Those are typically earned either by, you know, skill but not time gated, or it's, you know, you buy it, like throw down the credit card onto the Hearthstone board. So yeah.
so I have a kind of open question about this, right? And I do apologize because I'm not very good at podcasts listening. I haven't listened to the most recent few episodes, so if this has come up, I do apologize.
Oh, it's all good, man.
I've been you know, playing Magic for a really long time, and Hearthstone for at this point over 3 years as well. And you know, you're seeing both companies kind of compete to figure out how to get people's money through cosmetics in various ways, and Magic is doing that. And now, have you heard about the Lord of the Rings Magic set, where they're going to
Oh my God, the One Ring? Are you talking about that? That's insane.
and I mean, the physical nature of Magic makes that like a whole different kind of a gambit. But what will we see that in
Outline what that is, though, because like people at home who don't play Magic might not understand the One Ring idea.
So for this new Lord of the Rings Magic set, which is a whole thing in and of itself that they're using IP other than Magic for sets, but that's not the point. I mean, but it would be like if they came out with a Hearthstone set and like it was like Bob the Builder themed or something, you know? I mean, it would just be a little weird, but so they're making one limited edition, and there's a bunch of different versions of this card because now every card gets like 5 different versions. But there's gonna be one physical copy of the One Ring that is distinct visually from all the other ones. It's gonna be special. There's only one that will exist, and you can get it theoretically in a pack. Any random person can just like open it up and get it. It's one of a kind. There's only one that will exist in the world,
And you can sell it and buy a house.
Probably, yeah.
Or 2 houses. It looks amazing, by the way. And,
it's very cool.
and it's insane. This is absolutely insane. And I heard about this. I was like, oh my God. Like, you remember when people would were stampeding other people to try to get like PlayStations and stuff? Like, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of genius, but like, it's also just crazy.
Cringe. It's awesome and cringe at the same time. It's like it's both.
What if we reinvented the lottery? I mean, it's very blatant, but of all Blizzard, of all wizards and blizzards, I never realized that rhymed until just a second. But,
I didn't either.
of all wizards' blatant cash grabs, and maybe that's this one at least is like it's in universe. It makes sense, It's got kind of fun. Like I think it's funny, but what will they do that for Hearthstone? Like it would actually be kind of cool if you won like a notable tournament. You got a unique hero skin where it's like you as like Sylvanas or something. Like that would be kind of fun. It could be SchmoopieDaddy as Khadgar. Like that would be kind of a fun thing.
Oh, so one thing that they kind of do that's similar to that, at least they used to, is the people who won Worlds would then have like a card like basically made after them. So for example, Firebat won the very first one. Fiery Bat was made after him. Like stuff like that. It's just really cool and very similar to kind of what you're talking about. But we all get them.
Right?
Yeah, they did 3 of them, I think. Right? It's been a while.
Yeah, they did a few of them. They're not always as blatant as Fiery Bat, but like Possessifier was Possessies, and he was the most recent one, if I recall correctly.
Magic used to have a tournament, and they actually started doing this again, where Magic Invitational, and they invite like a lot of the pro players, and then whoever wins would have a card where they're in the art. And
Cool.
That's what Hearthstone should do. I want to play a SchmoopieDaddy hero skin where
it needs that sick fade.
Yeah.
So I will say,
still captivated by the sick fade.
Yes. So I will say, bringing it back to this particular hero portrait, and as someone who's gotten all of the hero portraits, with the exception of, and I'm still working on it, the 1K DK. Like I'm almost there, over 750. Schmoopie beat me there, but
You'll get.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get there.
We're supportive here. It's all right.
And as a recent dad, I gotta say, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I mean, like I am, like I'm disappointed that there's going to be a little hole in my collection, but like I'm not mad about it. But like, I mean, I really am. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
It is kind of a bummer, right? Like, my first thought was, like, can I do it? Like, can I co-op with people and we can just like collectively do it? But like, I kind of don't think so. Well, I mean,
yeah,
like it's expensive. Right?
Yeah.
And
I just spent all my gold on like the golden packs to finish off my signature cards.
Oh, did you get them?
Oh yeah.
No way.
I'm jealous.
No way. It's terrifying.
I've got like enough for 2 of the, I was about to call them Tavern Brawls, of the Brawlesiums.
Yeah, I'm still missing, I think, like 4. And those golden bundles that came out recently, like I got those. Like, granted, they were standard bundles, but they were 0 golden. Like, all those are 15 packs, no legends and no signatures. It's like
You guys
instant
are collecting the signature cards?
instant buyer's remorse. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're pretty cool. Yeah. Those are whale noises, all right.
I can't. That's amazing.
Well,
Here I am blinging out like cute warlock and cute warrior, and you guys are like spending the real money getting the signature.
well,
I'm nothing but a porpoise to your orcas.
And
and
I've been playing for about 6 months now, so I'm a fish, I guess, like a goldfish in comparison.
here's the real news. They took the pineapple off of the pizza.
No.
Like
You did.
they did. I thought like it was supposed to
gone.
be
Okay.
it was supposed to be like an April Fool's joke, and then they kept it, which was like, what? And then they
It
took
was
it,
funny.
and then they took it off. Like, I don't understand. I don't
They
understand what's.
kept it, aka they forgot they did it, and someone was just like, "By the way, you guys forgot to fix this thing that you did for fun." It was just like,
Right?
"Oh, well, I guess we gotta wait till next patch," and then they did it in this patch.
Yeah, but like,
You might be right.
that's probably what happened. But like, it takes a little bit of the fun out of it.
What were you saying, Neon?
I was just saying, they probably tried to put the pineapple back on and the whole game broke, so they couldn't.
Save file, save file, save file, save file. Bring it back, bring it back.
Control Z, Control Z.
Control Z. Aboard.
It's great.
You have the Aleco tweet? This is a fun conversation.
Oh, this. Oh yeah.
This is a fun conversation.
I'll let you talk about this one because I have feelings and I don't know. This makes me
Right.
feel all sorts of things.
Ooh. All right, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it off the stream. This is awesome. Okay, so Aleco gave us some tweets, basically earlier today. Something we've been doing for the past few balance patches, which players might not be aware of. We have been asking for feedback on our proposed balance changes from some of the folks in the Hearthstone Creator Program. The creators always provide amazing feedback on our changes, and every patch since we started this process has improved thanks to their feedback. The next patch, which will be shipping in less than a week, includes quite a few changes that were suggested by creators. So this tells me a couple of things. Number one, don't do what I did and dust copies of things because balance changes are coming. Okay, I wanted to make a cute warrior today, so I dusted copies of things. Don't do that. Okay, less than a week, we're gonna figure out that there's balance changes to standard cards, probably. Probably not wild, but definitely standard cards. So some standard cards are going to get changed. You're going to get some dust. But what's interesting about this is the fact that they are polling people in the creators program for what they think about the balance changes. Now, part of me is happy because I like having feedback coming from players playing the game, telling devs what they think about the balance changes. Because if players aren't having fun playing the game, the devs should know that. And so, like, for example, if you were polling players right now, I think Wild is a pretty decent spot, but there are still some sort of holes, like glaring holes, as far as like, where players start getting mad, whether that's Big Priest, whether that's Ice Block, right? Like there are parts of Wild that are just inherently frustrating. And so devs hearing that feedback and then acting on that feedback, which, let's be honest, for the last year or so plus, has been more effective in Wild than it has been in Standard, in my opinion. Right? I never thought they'd nerf Pillager. They nerfed Pillager Rogue. Right? Like they have made changes, significant changes to the Wild meta in ways where when we eventually find our way to possibly having Matt London on, he says, well, we're not going to play Whack-A-Mole. But they haven't played Whack-A-Mole, but like they've gotten rid of groundhogs. Like they've been doing some yard work in Wild, and so I want that feedback to happen.
Yeah.
What's really kind of goofy is that this has sort of been happening behind the scenes, and you'll have some content creators that magically the same day that the patch is going to come out are putting out these videos where they're making predictions about what the balance patch is going to be. And so it's been kind of a big joke that when certain creators make videos and they say, well, this is what, like, if they were going to make a balance patch, this is what I think what would happen. You're basically like taking those sort of things to the bank as far as like maybe 7 out of 8 of the changes that they propose are happening.
Yeah,
So,
either that or if they know ahead of time, like you could have a video like ready to go, and as soon as it's out, like you push,
and not every content creator is doing that either. Like I know somebody like Martian is I think part of the creator program, and he waited until like the balance patch would be live, and he was launching a video like 5 minutes afterward, and it was a 15-minute video, and like people are doing the math. They're just like, how did you know what the changes would be to shoot the video that's longer and it's edited well? And so, like, I think this is smart because, like, you want your creators behind the changes that you're going to make too. Like, you want them if even if they don't 100% agree with them, you want them on board. You want them in the tent peeing outwards, not out of the tent peeing inwards.
That's, you know what?
Right?
That is a good
which is a colorful metaphor from at some point. I think this was one of the Kennedys. Like they brought somebody in as the vice president. It's just like, well, we'd rather have him in than and causing trouble here or causing trouble and spreading it outwards rather than like being on the outside of the loop, right? So like I think it's smart. But like Nate, I know you have some thoughts as far as like on the other end of the spectrum of how wrong it could go.
I'm not. I think it's probably okay. It's just a part of me feels like the inmates are running the asylum, right? Because you always get that one person that's like, delete this class, delete this card. It's the worst. And sometimes people can be very outspoken, right? Like, and being outspoken does not necessarily make your opinion more valid, but like,
unless you shout it louder.
All right. And I don't know. This is the way I feel about steering committees or whatever. Like I was at work a couple years back and we were talking about doing a new thing. And it was like, someone had suggested like, oh, we could do like a steering committee. I was like, no way. Like, I don't want to be bound by someone else's decision based on their emotion or whatever that like may be suspect. And it's like a double-edged sword, right? Because if you take the feedback and you implement it, then like you're the hero. But if they give bad feedback and you choose not to like implement, then you're the bad guy, right? Because like, well, why are you asking for our opinion if you didn't want it? Like, well, maybe you had a bad opinion. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure, but like we were joking about this before the show, right? That like, like give Reddit the keys to the kingdom and let them do balance changes for a week or a month or whatever and just see what would happen. And like, I mean, it's funny, right? I think in worst case scenarios very often, but I at the same time, like the content creators are the ones that are probably playing the game more than a lot of other people. And maybe they do have some good takes because they are spending more time in it than anyone else. But like, I don't know, like you also get those outspoken people that are like, this is bad. You should ban it. You should delete it. This should never have been a card. And like, I don't like the idea of really deck shaming or whatever. Like there's definitely cards that I don't enjoy very much, but do I want the fate of those cards like in the hands of my peers? Like, I don't know. It just makes me feel weird. I'm not sure. I'm kind of unsettled about the whole thing. Like it's just kind of strange. And then it made me realize like, oh yeah, I never heard back about our creator program application. So there's that. So, but that's neither here nor there. That's probably like user error on my part. So whatever.
Well, I don't know. Like
it could go both ways, right?
For them to like receive feedback from people who have vocal opinions. People who are constrained by NDAs to not just like blast it everywhere. And then, it has a side benefit of them either like, possibly peeing outside of the tent from inside of it instead of the alternative, like Schmoopie was saying.
I said the peeing, all this talking about peeing intense, it reminded me of another canoe story from our but we can get to that later.
Excitement abounds. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a problem with it, truthfully. Like, I'm glad that they're soliciting feedback. It does kind of seem like, I don't know. It seems a little weird that they didn't tell us that they were doing that, but also now they've told us that they're doing it. So like, cool.
Right.
I don't really have a big issue with it.
No, it's probably a net positive, right? Because we do get like, how many times have we said, right? Like, what happened to the QA people? Or clearly this wasn't, play tested in wild. And so like this affords them the opportunity to get different, feedback or hear things or get different opinions that they may have missed or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think overall it's a net positive. I could also see it backfiring a little bit. I guess if there's like NDAs or whatever, then, but you're also going to have these people, or maybe, maybe I think Alkali posted it earlier today, essentially said like, hey, don't think of it like this is a perk for being a content creator. So if you want in, then be a content creator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense, right? And actually, then she followed it up with like, hey, even if you don't meet the quote unquote requirements, like we'd rather keep like an open communication chain and maybe we could help you get there or whatever. Like she's very positive and helpful. So I actually thought it was.
Community people tend to be really, really good, right?
Yeah, they do.
And now Hat's on that team too.
Yeah, that's a big win for everybody, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, it's just interesting, right? I don't think it's bad. I think it was like, oh, well, that's okay. I worry that there's going to be, there's always that one person, right? Like, and even if you're not talking about Hearthstone, or you're talking about Snap, or you're talking about Magic or something, like there's always going to be that loud, obnoxious person that like is going to fuss over something. And like, everybody's got their favorite card. Like, I mean, I don't want to derail the conversation too much, but I play a lot of Snap, right? I'm a Galactus gamer, and with Galactus, people either love it or they absolutely hate it. And every day I see someone posting like, delete that card. You're the fun police. Oh, that's terrible. That should have never been printed. It needs to get nerfed. And it's like, shut up. That, like, if you look at the win rate percent, it's super low. It's like 40% or whatever. But like, don't be the fun police either. So I don't know. At the same time, if they wanted to like get rid of like ice block or infinite turns, then I don't think I would complain. But I think one thing that Aleko says in the initial tweet of how they've been asking for feedback on proposed balance changes from some of the folks in the Hearthstone Creator Program. So those people who are the really vocal people who are, just calling for Galactus to whatever Snap does, some sort of nerf or balance change or whatnot, like they probably are not asking those folks about that because they know what feedback they'd get. It's not a worthwhile that's funny. Yeah, no
situation for them to ask them. They know what they're going to get.
I wonder how they do it. I wonder if they give them like surveys or something too. Like that would be interesting. It could be something like that too. So I don't know. The whole thing,
maybe
like
spitball on a forum. Maybe it's even messier than that. Maybe it's not even a survey. Maybe it's just like literally it's a back corner, back room discussion with velvet curtains and cigars. I mean, fine liquor in small glasses being served and quiet whispers in the corners.
Well,
meanwhile, I think it's a private subreddit. So
I heard it was the Discord channel, but
the only thing I want to add is I don't always agree with Jay Alex, but he had a great quote on Twitter once where he said, the average person doesn't want balance, they want revenge. The nerfs that people want to see are never really like, oh yeah, I want my opponent to be balanced. Just like, no, I want this particular art type to be dumpstered and to die and to be gone and to be, a pathetic state that such that I don't have to deal with it. And so I don't think they're pulling those kinds of people when they're doing these balance changes. That being said, how long have they been doing this program and this feedback as far as their proposed balance changes?
Well, the program in general is relatively new, so it can't have been that long. That's interesting.
I've seen leaks before challenges, before changes come out. I've seen. I have
two. I know where to. I know where to find the leaks.
Right. And there are channels if you know the right thing to do, you know where to find some of the leaks and people leak, and they're not always the same. The leaks are not always 100% what ends up happening. I'd say it's maybe 80%.
And hopefully we're not leaking into the tent.
Right, exactly. You're not right. Exactly. You're not leaking into the tent. You're leaking out of the tent. I'm just interested in seeing. I think an interesting story is the development and balance of Standard in the last year, and how it has been kind of arduous and uphill and kind of gross, and how much of that is an internal balance versus listening to content creators then and their input and how much they're responsible for. Because this last year was not a success in Standard for balance as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It just wasn't, right? And I don't think that's me being cruel. I think that's just me being honest. So I kind of like Nate. I'm interested. While I'm happy the content creators have an input, how successful has this program been? Have the balance updates been good, or have they been Because I've seen a lot of people kind of deride some of the standard balance changes. It's just this doesn't do it. You're nerfing construct quarters. This is the worst card in all the DK decks. What is this supposed to do? Right. So I'm interested to see. I'm never going to see it. Right. We're never going to see this information.
Right.
Who is responsible for what and but it's an interesting philosophical discussion.
The whole thing is
brought up by this tweet.
Yeah, actually, if the more I think about it, I'm kind of selling myself on it. I think okay, here's the, I don't know if metaphor is the right word, right? But I don't know if any of you have supervisor experience, or you've been the person on the ground, right? And then the supervisor makes some weird decision. And they're why did they do that? Didn't they know that this was going to happen? If they would have just
not to be a supervisor, Nate. So just so you know.
Oh, I totally understand that. But
Neon's a supervisor. He knows what you're talking about.
But you've had that thought, right? That oh, why did they make that strange decision? If they would have just talked to me first, I could have let them know why it was a bad idea and what the unintended repercussion is going to be. But they didn't ask, so I guess they have to deal with it now. And this gives them an out that oh, well, we checked with our player base and they thought it was a good idea. It also gives them scapegoats if they want it. But I think it may be good, right? Because we could have all said hey, when we saw Juicy Psych Melon come out years ago, right? It was you just broke the game, right? And
that came out.
Yeah, exactly. The same thing. And maybe this prevents that from happening, or maybe we get some buffs out of it, right? I think they have been doing that a little bit more lately, where it's oh, this card is underplayed. We're going to buff it a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw somebody hit Legend with Menagerie Warrior today, and I was oh, wow, okay. That's probably good for the game, right? Warrior has been dumpster tier for 2 years now. So, now who do I have to pay to tell them to unnerf Raid the Docks? Martian, how much sway do you have?
I'm going to become a content creator so I can advocate for a Linux bannerment going back to a 2-1. That's...
And Grime Street Outfitter back to a 1-1, or are you sold on Grime Street now?
Grime Street as a 2-2 is actually kind of sick, but no, I want them both to be a 2-1. Make bannerman a 3-1. I don't know. But But yeah, so I got to figure out some content to create so I can make that happen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, see, I don't know. I don't really have anything to say on this. I feel like I don't even know. I've like I have mixed feelings on it. I think mostly it's probably positive.
Sides, right?
Yeah.
It's nice that there's some members of the community. I mean, they don't have to do that. Like, it's a pretty cool thing. But I think, as you say, it also they have the scapegoat. They have the oh yeah, we take your feedback. It's double-edged sword. But
I've been in the position before where like I've taken feedback and then not followed up on the like request that was made, and then had people get all bent out of shape. And basically the response was like, well, why do you ask for our feedback if you didn't want it? Like, well, why do you give me a bad idea? I mean, I that was basically the follow-up, but like, nobody likes to hear that. Anyways, let's talk about something fun. Like,
Decks.
yeah. We have a couple decks here. We want to talk about the Handbuff Paladin first, or this cute warrior?
Yeah, let's bring our guests back into it, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Wait, where's my picture?
So those of you who don't know, so Neon Heron, like
that's a picture right there.
If I'm wrong, my friend, you were super good in the Dark Glare meta, and then you kind of found yourself kind of like mixing it up, sort of around 11x with Dark Glare, right? And then happened to play guys like Bodybuilder and Inmen and whatnot, and fell in love with Handbuff Paladin before Barons, before it was good.
Before Barons, yeah. Well, so yeah, I didn't know Inman at the time. I had played Bodybuilder, and I was so sick of the pre-Barons meta that and he kicked my with Handbuff Paladin. And I was like, wow. And I game in Outland, so I didn't know that like mech handbuff had been a thing. I had no context for it. I had not played Paladin at all at that point. I didn't know what Paladin did other than Odd Paladin. So he played me, and I was like, oh, this deck was cool. I friended him, and I was like, hey man, like cool deck, like good for you for playing like a weird deck. And I didn't know that, one, there was context for it, two, he was a very high level player. But so I told Schmoopie about that, and he was like, oh yeah, Handbuff Paladin. So he sent me an approximate list of what might have got to. And then yeah, Barons got printed. And I played Handbuff for a couple of months as like my casual deck after I hit Legend. And then when Samuro came out, it was like, oh, okay, this is a thing now. This deck is gonna get rid of it. And I've been playing it. I guess since T-minus 2 months before Barons, I've been playing Handbuff. So big fan of the deck.
Nice.
We have a picture on the screen of us at a meetup. Is this a year ago almost?
It's a picture of SchmoopieDaddy. For those audio listeners, I'll describe it. It's a picture of SchmoopieDaddy smelling his own armpit to see what it smells like. Are you sure or unsure?
True. I'm looking over the shoulder of Neon Heron as we co-op a game of Aggro Shadow Priest in a Brooklyn bar. There are shot glasses on the table. I can't tell if they're full or empty. I think they're still.
Both of our armpits smelled amazing, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Was this the second or third bar of the night?
Fourth? I don't know.
It might have been fourth, and this is when we decide that it is a good time for not only for Schmoopie Mommy to take the picture, but also for us to co-op Shadow Priest, which I think we went 3-0.
Or you did push-ups.
This is before I did push-ups in the street. Yes.
Wow.
All right.
You do have a very epic mustache, by the way. For the audio people, you're missing out. Like I'm impressed. You have a very
Neon Heron's facial hair is impressive now that it's come in. All right. It took a minute. All right. Anyway, but no, this is. I had just given my best buddy some goofy new tools to try and in Shadow Priest in the ways of I think it was Crooked Cook, right? In this case.
Yeah, I still think is slept on extremely in that deck, and they're everywhere now, and I haven't seen anyone run that. It's so good. So good. If you're a Shadow Priest main, try Crooked Cook. It's so nasty.
Just for the extra draw. So Nate, do we have a picture of Neon's deck?
Oh yeah.
Which he always, I don't. Is this a Game of Thrones reference? I don't quite remember. He always entitles it "Dungeon for a Bear."
Well, I use Dungeoneer Cariel as my my hero portrait. The bear part, well, that's I tend to name my decks like personal jokes that are funny to me and maybe not really good story. Draw your own conclusion.
Okay, I'll draw my own conclusion. Anyway, what am I looking at as far as interactions go for this deck and like what's the main play patterns?
Yeah. So the main play pattern is get buff, get swole, kick your opponent in the teeth. But okay, so when it became clear that Handbuff was going to be good again, you sent me the list that was it Corbett list?
No, it was Hyperion. I played Hyperion in THL, and he brought it week 1, and so I'm scouting my opponent in THL, and I say, "Oh, here's a list that he's playing," and he's beaten me with that list on ladder before, and I said, well, "Hey, this looks good. Let me send it to Neon Heron."
And I started playing it, and I was like, okay, this is a strong deck, but I don't like it. It didn't do a lot of things I want Handbuff to do, so I made my own list that has a lot more like Charger and Rush minions, but also I didn't understand when you initially sent it how good the weapon is, because the main play pattern is draw the weapon and do weapon stuff. That card is busted. It's the engine that makes the deck work in this current meta. And so that list was tailored to play a lot of little small dorky minions so you could have a crazy weapon swing.
Yeah,
my list
Sinful Sous Chef to juice up the Disco Maul, which is a very common standard pure Paladin tactic, but like I think for Handbuff, I think we agree. Like 1 mana 3/3s vanilla are just not good enough for wild. So I'm sorry, continue, but that's the main part that you switched up.
Exactly, yeah, and I cut Salhad's Pride, which still feels weird because that used to be such a like staple card in the deck. But like what I found playing that list was Salhad's Pride was just getting more like 1/1s that didn't really do anything, and it was like, oh cool, I'm drawing a broomstick so that my next Salhad's Pride has Rush, like to get more broomsticks. Like I don't know, it didn't really have the punch that I like, because like what I like about Handbuff is you just kill your opponent from hand out of nowhere. Like your board state is innocuous, or you counter their board 1 for 1, and then it's like, oh, you just took 20 damage to the face. That's so
yeah.
Play pattern is you're trying to get the weapon out early in most matchups, and you're just trying to draw your buffs and your charger minions. That's the main thing, and then beyond that, it's just
early crab good. Right, early crab good.
Right. Well, it depends on the matchup. It's very matchup dependent, and I don't think I have like the full handle on like ideal play patterns or mulligans, because again, I don't think I'm playing particularly well right now with this deck. But
you get legend with it, so you're playing well enough.
If I'm playing Shaman or Rogue, I'm keeping Crab Rider, right? You want to tempo an early Crab Rider and beat him up, but then if you queue into a Druid or like a Warlock, some class that has like removal and doesn't really care about taking 2 damage, then I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I mean, as a general rule, you keep the weapon, you keep Alliance Bannerman. Those are like the 2 key cards in your opening hand. That's how I play it. Beyond that, it's based on the matchup.
The weapon is nasty. Yeah, it gets quite large and dangerous.
I think Disco Maul is the one thing that I'm still like wrapping my head around, as far as like I'm missing lethal in a turn because I'm not calculating how much Disco Maul on a charger is going to get me. And so the list that Neon Heron hit legend with was basically everything had charge. Like we had Nomergon infantry, we had all kinds of stuff in here. And like him and I have sort of been doing some back and forths and bouncing like, cards back and forth as far as like what to include in here, trying kind of just to refine and revive this archetype. And what was neat was like you bravely cut Broomstick kind of because like everything already is like got zooms. Like it's either rush or it's charge. And only recently have we kind of been including stuff like Pack Mule, and you very bravely are now doing instrument tech to tutor the disco mall, because you're thinking like, well, this is the thing that I do, and like that's the kind of extreme move. Like I'm not necessarily on board with it, but at the same time, like I don't have the same reps with the deck, and like that might be the correct way to go with it because disco mall is that good, you know. So it's really interesting.
It's honestly, I tried 2 weapon techs. That was bad. One though feels kind of correct. For context, what I cut for the weapon tech was Knight of Anointment. So I just replaced 1-for-1 card draw with 1-for-1 card draw, and I don't know that like this list overall, it's clunkier than the deck used to be. You lose out on a lot of the card draw. You lose out on a lot of the value from like Christology can't draw Knight of. Christology cannot draw Alliance Bannerman or no, Salhead's Pride can't get Bannerman, so that's why I cut Salhead's Pride, and Christology can't get Grime Street Outfit. So
yeah.
As reliably. So it's like, what are we going to do instead? And I honestly, I don't know. And I think the list I currently posted, Knight of Anointment or Weapon Tech both feel pretty good. You know, Knight of Anointment's better early game. It's better in aggro sometimes, but Weapon Tech can also be better because you get the weapon. I mean, if you break your draw and you get Weapon Tech and the weapon in hand, like that kind of sucks. But it's the same as if you draw Knight of Anointment, you have 2 convictions in hand. You know, like sometimes
weapons, right? Like you have to draw both weapons for Weapon Tech to be completely useless. But you're to your point, you don't have enough tempo to play both.
Well, yeah, usually, I mean, having 2 weapons is kind of nice because you can drop your second weapon and attack, and then you're 1 turn ahead, you know, and you break the first one. But like, you know, Knight of redundant convictions is better than drawing redundant weapons. So I don't know. I think that's a spot, but I like it. You know, I like the turn 1 weapon tech on the coin into turn 2 weapon is pretty good into aggro, and plus you got a 1/2, and that's like weirdly relevant right now. I mean, Pirate Rogue is still everywhere.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I don't know. The deck feels really good right now in that you can beat any other deck. Like it doesn't have any matchups where you auto win. It doesn't have any matchups where you auto lose. Like you can beat anyone. You can beat Bonk Druid, which doesn't seem like it should be a thing. You can beat Shutterwalk Shaman, which doesn't seem like it should be a thing. It always feels like a knife fight, but you know, they play out all your Murlocs and then you Samuro the Murlocs and you know, you're pretty good to go. If they don't mute, that's the bane of my existence when you lose that like one. But yeah.
Place
That's
for
cool.
off meta to be, right? Is where like you're not super unfavored into anything, but you're also like, okay, like it's off meta, so you're not super favored into anything either. You could just sort of play the deck, and so that's a good place to be.
It's fun. Yeah, it's every game is a battle, and it's pretty good right now. And it's not like when Cariel first came out, where I hit like Legend in like 20 minutes. You know, it's a different deck now, but yeah. And I think my list has a lot of flex spots. It's definitely homebrew, and I don't know that there's like an ideal meta version right now. So I'm certainly interested to hear what people list. Love to get some feedback on it. And especially if people are trying it out, because I haven't seen a lot of Handbuff. I've seen a lot of Mech Paladin. I keep running into Solarian on like Dragon Paladin, and he's just kicking the out of me with that. But it's a bad matchup for Handbuff. If you're gonna play Handbuff, you got to watch out for Dragon Paladin because you will lose. But yeah,
it looks super fun. I like Sidan the Scarlet in it. Seems pretty fun.
Yeah.
That what's sneaky about that too is the conviction boost on side N is like, again, any buff, which is like something I forgot about the card because like who's gonna include it except for this madman over here? Like I would never have done it.
I ran him before in previous metas when he first came out. People were running him when you had like Righteous Defense, when you could make him like huge really fast, and I just never had any success with it. I didn't even know he had Rush. I threw him in the list. I mean, this list has gone through like I have to have tried like 45 different cards in this list at this point. I've tried a lot of different things. With the most recent being the weapon tech and the donkeys, because before that I had Gnomrigan infantry instead of the donkeys, and that one can kind of go either way. But so I threw in Sidan, and I thought, I don't know, he kind of sucks. And then I realized that with the weapon, you make him into like a 20/20, and that's really good into rogues. It turns out they can't really handle a 10/10 on turn 5.
No, the pirate rogues can't handle a giant thing. And they really struggle. And Convict, he gets a double buff from Conviction. He gets a double buff from Hand. Like, it's any buff to Sidan is doubled, which makes me think that, like, if he's actually probably a card that actually has a decent future. I know he's 3 mana, so maybe it's on the borderline. But if it gets easier to buff things in Paladin, that's interesting. Sheep, I felt like I was cutting you off. Did you have anything that you were sharing? Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying that I really like the Sidan as well. I mean, doubling so many things, then dropping the Battle Guard Battle Master. Like,
yeah.
You're buffing the board, you're buffing your hand, you're buffing all the things, and then you're going face for double because you've got the Battle Master. Like, yeah, I really like that.
This is what I like about Handbuff is like, and I've played a fair amount of not this exact list because I'm a few iterations behind, but just I like from hand like Battle Master, Boar, like let's go. I mean I know it's turn 8, but you're dying from hand, kind of hand buff, which is it's just going by the wayside because it's a little slow and it doesn't draw as well as it used to. But this is serviceable.
I like
it as proof. Neon, when did you win? When did you hit Legend? What day of the month? The 8th. Okay.
Yeah.
So like within almost within the first week, 10x by the way. You hit a couple boss battles too. I feel like.
I hit the 3rd of the month.
Oh, 3rd. Excuse me.
Yeah.
3rd. Yeah. Okay.
That.
So
right.
yeah, that 3rd with 10x is like that tells you that at least in a 10x environment, this has legs.
That's good.
So.
That's really good.
Yeah. And I didn't play that much. I mean, my Legend climb. Yeah, it took me. Yeah, I mean, I hit D5 day 1, and then 2 days of grinding. The first day I didn't take, I kept bouncing back and forth, and the second day it was pretty linear. Hit the right combination. You know what? The first day there were a lot of Death Knights, and Handbuff really beat even Death Knight. It's not a winnable matchup. It's probably the worst matchup that possibly exists. And actually, I think Sheep. I think I hit you on that deck.
I think we may have.
Maybe twice. I don't know. And that's not a winnable matchup for Handbuff. And then somehow by day 2, I didn't see a single one of those. They were gone. And so I definitely hit some favorable matchup streak. But, yeah.
It's super cool though. I love seeing an off meta deck come back or just something different. Like my whole climb was like rogue, shaman. Like that's it. And so I don't know. It's exciting. I like it. And homebrew, I don't know. It feels special to pilot a deck that you made, hit Legend with a deck that you made. I think it's really cool. So, before I forget, for the audio, if you're listening to the audio version of this, like we've got the deck up on the screen so you can see it. But if you want to like actually see the screenshot or want the code to copy and paste into the client, it's in our show notes, which you can get from our website or from the YouTube video or on your podcast app. Like there's a link to the show notes. So check those out and you can copy and paste the deck code to try it out.
Show notes for the win.
I always forget to talk about those, but like, oh yeah, you want to talk about this unholy creation you have here?
Look, and this little guy's in it too. Tiny Finn for the win.
Tiny Finn, tiny win.
Where is it? So this is Cute Warrior. And before you scoff, I know I don't know if he has them available. I included a couple of screenshots of like early game board states where when it's going right, which is fairly consistent. Like I'd put it feels very much kind of like a mix between Aggro Druid and Odd Paladin, where like as far as like you're board flooding very quickly, and then kind of like in Odd Paladin's case, you're developing a threat of like eventually these things are all going to get buffed and you die. Whereas with Aggro Druid, it's kind of like you're flooding and then you're buffing the board. This is kind of a mix in between the two, where you're flooding the board, and then because you have flooded the board, you have cards like Power Slider, which are getting buffed for every minion type that you play. So if you're dropping 4 unique minions on turn 1, and then maybe 1 extra unique minion on turn 2, that's 5 to a 5+5+ to a Power Slider. That's a 3-mana River Croc with Rush. You're dropping a 7/8 on curve with Rush for 3 mana.
Wow.
Like, so you have these kind of like blowout board states where you can, with Roaring Applause, do, let's say, Mistake, pulls Patches, drop Target Dummy, drop Tiny Fin. Turn 2, Roaring Applause, I'm drawing 5 cards. And a lot of those cards cost 0 mana and are not the same tribes as the ones that I have already set up. So now I can probably also drop a Tent Trasher if I've drawn it. I'm juicing up my Power Sliders. I am just making sort of these filthy board states. And now I did very well with this list early in the week. I was seeing a lot of aggro Shadow Priest, because that seems to be the deck of choice for Chinese players just purchasing their account and playing Wild. I saw a lot of Pirate Rogues. This deck dumpsters Pirate Rogue. It's unreal, because you're going just as wide as the Pirate Rogue, and even if they can trade into you favorably, you're also dropping Tent Trashers and you're dropping Power Sliders. So you're making these giant things that they can't reasonably deal with or race at the same time. So this, and you have Glacial Shard. So like I'm just gonna time walk you, because you really need to hit me in the face so you can send down your Fellwing, but you can't this turn.
That card is a shard.
Yeah, and listen, and Glacial Shard is one of those cards where, like, when it's good, it's really good. It's a reason why you have a chance against Kingsbane. It's a reason why you have a chance against Bonk Druid. I am reasonably sure that this is favored into Bonk Druid. I am reasonably sure that I am like 50-50 into Kingsbane and Even Shaman. The Even Shaman, like, medium roll is enough to beat me if I gas out. My high roll beats Even Shaman. The Even Shaman's high roll against my high roll is a really tough matchup. I think I probably lose that. But it's like, it's competitive enough. I don't feel like queuing into an Even Shaman is like, it's over. Especially if, let's say, I'm 10x and my Even Shaman opponents maybe aren't mulliganing correctly, and I'm on average getting a better hand than they are, because I know what I'm looking for and I'm getting it, versus they're not mulliganing as aggressively as I am. So like I'm almost wanted like do a 10x climb with this deck, because I think, again, I dumpster Pirate Rogue. I think this is like 80-20 into Pirate Rogue, because you make so many big things. Then you can do silly stuff like, oh, let's Zola my Power Slider, so I get another Power Slider.
Okay.
I did make one cut, and you're not gonna like it.
Uh-oh.
Can you spot it in the list? It's a new card that's missing. A new Menagerie card that's missing. It's a signature card.
Oh yeah, the one-man band, or what? One amalgam band.
One
right?
amalgam band. Yeah.
Not a one amalgam band. I think that card's too expensive for this particular list. That's a good guess. This is a worse card than one amalgam band.
And it's a signature?
No Voon.
Oh.
I've cut Voon for Lotheb. Now, you're gonna see all kinds of Menagerie lists with Voon, and it's great bait. But in my opinion, Voon is a much worse card in this meta than Lotheb. And the pattern of play, right? The pattern of play where you say, well, you play both so that you can get more Lothebs. Well, the way this deck plays out, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not typically stat dumping on one. There are some matchups where I do, but I'm prioritizing comboing Applause or getting my Tent Trasher down for 0 over just hand dumping immediately. Like, I might even take 2 turns off and then just go. And to just get everything out. Let me get 2 Tent Trashers down. Let me bounce one with Zola. Let me play a bunch of stuff for free, right? Because my mana cheat really comes in this deck when I can play multiple zero cost cards and then get the most out of playing those multiple zero cost cards. So, coining out Voon and then doing some things like playing some 1/1s, not really doing it for me. Finding a spot to play Voon was always the most awkward. Meanwhile, matchups like Quest Mage were unwinnable. I can't beat Quest Mage if I don't have Loatheb in my deck. Because I can't apply enough pressure and then force Quest Mage to have a turn where they cannot play spells at the cost that they want them at. So, like if you name any control deck in the format, whether it's Reno Priest, and how does Reno Priest really win? Reno Priest wins with tempo. Loatheb's better tempo than Voon. Voon Zola's cute because you infinitely copy Zola, which copies Voon, which infinitely copies Zola. And if we still had odd, warrior in the meta, and just having infinite stuff was good enough to win a game, great. It's not. And so I'm making this call. I'm sticking with it. And Loatheb's undead, so he actually discounts Tent Trasher if you don't have a Wisp on board. So there's some cute synergy there where I've had games where I drop Loatheb and it's just they concede. The game's over.
I love that Loatheb is still like one of the best cards in the game after all these years, right?
Yeah, and this deck's whole game plan is to create an unreasonable board state turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. Like just get wild, just get nutty, draw a bunch of cards, and then you're already ahead on board. Why would you play a value card like Voon, where literally my hand is empty, and I'm playing a 3-mana 4/3 versus let me lock out my opponent with some spell hate, which Bonk Druid basically is playing all spells. They got some big doofers, but if you're a well-timed Loatheb. And my power sliders are usually bigger than their taunts, and sometimes they're bigger than Arcane Giants. With a Hawkstrider on board, I played a 13-14 power slider today.
Wow.
So
Hawkstrider is such a good card.
They get good. And the Hawkstriders, this is not my list. I shamelessly net decked this from Magma Rager, who got it from a collection of this is a amalgamation, a concoction from Jamba Juice, Warfariner, and who was the last one? Ramu Joke. So basically the warrior crew, the off meta crew, kind of cooked this sucker up, and I think it's a real deck. I really do. If you ignore Fluricle Talks, you need to skillfully avoid queuing Shudderwalk Shaman, or if you do, make sure that they don't have schooling. Or devolve, or draw the important Murlocs, and you pressure them, and I think that matchup's the one meta matchup that's unwinnable. Anything else, I think you're pretty good into it.
Nice, all right.
Do some climbing. So I made this all gold. Not I put my money where my mouth is, but quite literally, I do think this is a real deck. And I would have brought it to THL this week if I didn't screw up the Google form and thus roll over. I won anyway. But this is one of those decks where I think it's going to surprise people with how good it is and the board states that it can create.
Nice. All right. I love talking about these off meta decks. It's kind of fun to see something different. My climb was so stale with nothing but meta stuff that yeah, I mean, that's what I was playing because I was depressed because all I was seeing was Shudderwalk Shaman and Pirate Rogue, and it was so I guess what I mean to say is I'm excited to see something different. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, if you're only seeing if your meta is only Even Shaman and Pirate Rogue, I would anticipate a day 1 10x meta to be with some Shadow Priest sprinkled in, maybe some Bonk Druid. Oh yeah, this is a deck for you. This is a day 1 legend deck that I don't know if I'm gonna grind for 11x this month. I know I said that last month and then put in 2 hours and got there. I don't know if I have that magic in my back pocket again. If I don't, I might do D5 to legend with this. I might grind it out with Even Shaman first and then do D5 to legend with this, because instead of playing an Even Shaman mirror, I might want to do this instead.
So a couple days before you started talking about this deck, I queued into one. And it's the only time this season so far where I was like, I legitimately have no idea what my opponent is doing. And I don't know what the breakpoints are. I don't know what I should be trading into. And I was down to like 2 health. And I top decked the Charger because I'm really good at Hearthstone and I won. I was like, wow, that is a cool deck. And I have no idea what it was. And then you sent me the list and I was like, oh, of course, Cute Warrior. Who wouldn't expect?
Right? Yeah, seriously.
I wanted to get some reps in with it before the show tonight so I could talk about it, but I didn't get around to it yet. But I am planning to take that one for a spin. It does look like a lot of fun.
It does.
If you do want to beat those Shutter Shamans, though, try Handbuff because you can beat them. Good chunk of time. 50% minimum, which isn't so bad, But yeah, it's a fun deck, and it gets really explosive out of nowhere. And
yeah, I
honestly,
queued you with it. Like I queued you with Cute Warrior on ladder, and you're like,
I mean, I blasted you in the face, but
you beat me.
I won that one. Right?
You did.
Still,
Well,
you don't
'cause
see
I
that
knew
coming though, right? I mean,
that's the thing. I knew what I was when you played with Warrior. I was like, okay, like I think I can, Like when I first queued into it, I was just assuming, like I was like, I don't know,
Okay.
Pirate Warrior, I guess. Like I saw some DMH the other day. Like I don't know, Warrior's not really like a thing right now, so you don't know what you're gonna get, which is kind of fun, But
Life is like queuing into Warrior. You never know what you're gonna get.
wow.
What was that, Neon?
I said you're gonna get SchmoopieDaddy killing you with Tiny Fin on turn 4, so watch out.
It's true. I give him lethal so he can get bacon strong.
He has to deal the final bit of damage so he can get the experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the way.
Have we done it? We're not going to dissect Big Priest this week, right?
No, there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about.
Are we finally at the unrelated advice?
What?
I think we have one more thing before we get there.
Oh.
We were promised another story about
about a canoe. Well, if we're gonna do that, I think it's probably also worth him telling you about the birthday party he helped a former girlfriend of mine throw. But anyway, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Neon. Tell him about the canoe and
The birthday party one is a way better story, but the canoe one, TLDR, we stayed up all night. We went canoeing very early in the morning.
Well, set up why we stayed up all night. Set up why we stayed up all night.
We were drinking beer. And,
No. But our friend was moving out of his childhood home.
Right.
And now it was kind of a messy divorce. And so like the dad was still living there, but the mom wasn't. And like we didn't know when we were going to say goodbye to the home. So we said goodbye to this home probably 5 or 6 times that summer. By the time like we were sick of it. Like we'd been on the roof. We knew all the soft spots. Like we were done with it. But like, we'd go canoeing out the next day.
We were 19 and we were helping a grown man put his life back together, basically. But so we were hanging out, and it was relatively early in the night. Someone was like, "Oh yeah, let's stay up all night and we'll go canoeing first thing in the morning." And I'm a coward, especially back then. I was like, "Oh, that sounds so scary. I don't want to do that." But I was like, "Yeah, totally," because I figured no way it would actually happen. No way. It was only like midnight at the time. And somehow we stayed up all night. We went canoeing at like 4:30 a.m. when the sun first rose. Over the water, and we had 2 canoes, and we only had 3 paddles for 2 canoes. And I ended up with the 1 paddle because again, Schmoopie's not the best at paddling anyway. So I was like, we're good to go, with 1. We're paddling up there, and Schmoopie's like, "Oh, I gotta take a leak." And it's like, "Okay, yeah, I'll steady the canoe. You just, go off the side of the boat." So he's standing there taking a leak off the side of the boat. Better to be in the boat taking a leak out than out of the boat taking a leak in, Really good friend. I just started shooting the boat.
I wanted to kill him. I wanted him dead. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, you
There
should.
are moments where just like maybe the world's better without a Neon Heron in it.
Kill me, then you have to paddle back, and you're already. You can't risk that.
You could have just peed on him.
That's what I was thinking too.
I was facing the wrong direction. I was showing modesty.
Well, then our friend in the other canoe went onto land to steal lawn ornaments from the neighbors, and then we stole. We could have stolen both of their paddles, but we only took one. And then
We only took one. We were merciful. We thought, like, you're doing kind of a scummy thing right now, so we really want to go faster. So let's go. Let's just take this paddle and go.
Right. But wait, you want to do the bowling birthday story?
Oh yeah, that's good. That's a good one. You have to.
So freshman year, Schmoopie was dating our class valedictorian, who was absolutely
No, not that story. Not that story. Carrie.
Oh my gosh, how many do you have?
I had two bullet stories.
So they're related there. I think it's important to have them. So,
Fine. Embarrass me thoroughly. It's worth it. It's good content.
he's dating this girl. She's absolutely beautiful. She says, "Hey, I want to go bowling." And Schmoopie hates bowling. He hates it. He doesn't like it. He likes sports where you can use your feet, not your hands. So he goes bowling with this girl, and he tries to impress her by, like, I don't know, doing some kind of soccer ball trick with the bowling ball.
I tried to pass it gently with my foot.
Yeah.
Did he break your foot?
Yes.
So then fast forward.
Technically a bone bruise. Okay, I didn't actually break my foot, but I couldn't play in a soccer tournament the next day.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
had fever dreams. I kind of broke my foot.
It sounds like what someone who broke their foot would say.
Yeah.
So then junior year, he's dating this girl for like a year, like a long time. And I don't know, me and her just didn't click. She didn't like me or respect me. She liked me, I think. She didn't respect me. It was like I was like a nasty dog that was just like, attached to the family. She couldn't get rid of me.
Sounds right.
And she's just very normy, like just aggressively normy. And, they were happy enough. I was like, okay. So she, after they'd been dating for about 6 months, I would think. Good amount of time. Yeah, right. It doesn't matter now. It was 1,000 years ago, but at the time it mattered, But she hits me up and she's like, "Oh, you're Schmoopie's best friend. Like, I want to throw him a really good birthday party. Like, do you have any ideas? Like, I want to surprise him." I was like, "Cool, yeah." He loves surprises. Not true. Thinking I would surprise him at the bowling alley, a surprise bowling birthday, and I was like, and I stand by this now. At the time, I was like, I'm being kind of evil, and in retrospect, I'm like, I was just paid. But so you should take up what actually happened when you showed up at the bowling alley in the context of
So it's a Sunday, right? Like, it's a Sunday. I've played club soccer. I've run around for an hour and a half. I am physically beat up. I know I smell. And my girlfriend is telling me, "No, come to like Carmel Bowling." And like, I'm clueless. So I'm like, I don't know why I would go to Carmel Bowling in the month of my birth. Why would I go to this place? But fine, whatever. I'm not going to question it. I'll do what she tells me to do. Setting up a pattern for life. So I show up, and she's there and she's smiling, and our mutual friend Zach is there and he's smiling, and this guy in the bottom right corner for me, he's smiling, right? And I'm like, "What am I doing here?" And Carrie is like, "Oh, it's your birthday party. We're having a surprise birthday. I hear you love bowling." And I'm like, "I do, huh? I love bowling." And for retrospect, why I hate bowling so much is I am actually like a pretty competitive person. I'm not like I think I've struck a good balance, a healthy balance in Hearthstone between like goofing off and being competitive. But even when I'm like goofing off, I want to beat you with what I'm goofing off with, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm going for your throat with a pool noodle. And so with bowling, I suck. And like by any metric I've ever stated, like I will shoot between a 60 and 100. I am atrocious. Like 100 is like baseline for like somebody who like if you're gonna like, and I don't want the bumpers up. Like you get the bumpers out of here, right? Like that's just patronizing me at this point. So like
that's
the fact that the fact that I'm like getting cornered by like I'm showing up. I'm not in a state where I want to have a birthday party. And now I'm showing up, forced to put a smile on to doing a task, right? To doing a task that I don't want to do. And my best friend is there just sort of smiling and co-signing it the entire way. I once again, I contemplated, would the world be better without Neon Heron? And for a moment, Yi was found wanting, but I never got the good opportunity. And we're not dating anymore anyway, so I guess it worked out in the end.
Well, he threw a bowling ball at me, but he missed by a mile. So,
I mean, that's par for the course, right? That's par for the course. I got it in the other end.
Because if he had kicked it, then it would have actually made connection.
Well, I learned from the first time, Sheep. I learned from the first time. You're not able to give a push pass with a bowling ball, with a 13-pound bowling ball, because your foot breaks. I didn't break my foot; it was a bone bruise.
So what you should have learned is to always bring steel-toed boots to the bowling alley.
I should have done like a heel pass. Like I should have done it with like the sole of my foot and rolled it. I didn't do that. I just kicked it. So I'm glad we dredged that up, right? I'm glad that's a mechanic that we explored this episode.
Well, you got to take a little trip down memory lane. I'm happy we got some embarrassing stories. It's always fun.
That's perfect. It's good. It's good content. Now I know this is going to be good content too because I've been preparing for it. I have some unrelated advice. If we have the sound bite.
Yes, we do. Hold on. Here we go.
And now, unrelated advice
With SchmoopieDaddy.
with Nate Wolf.
SchmoopieDaddy.
Okay. Neon Heron, you have the disc. You're 50 yards from the end zone. It's Universe Point. It's the most important ultimate Frisbee game you have played in your life. First question, I know the answer to this. Are you going to dump it off to the handler or are you going to go deep?
go deep.
I knew you were going to go deep. He always goes deep, folks. So he's going deep. Somebody's cutting deep. Neon Heron, who is cutting deep for you on this Universe Point, the most important game of your life?
Tiny Finn. He's
Tiny
quick.
Finn's going deep
Yeah.
because he's quick. He's not very tall.
They're gonna underestimate him. So the defender will start sagging back under once he thinks that Tiny Finn is too deep for a throw to go up, and that's when I throw it. And I throw it. Yeah.
So you're throwing deep to Tiny Finn. Follow-up question. What throw are you using, dude? Are you going with the scooper? Are you going with the hammer? Are you going with the forearm flick? Are you going the left hand flick? The right hand? I know you're ambidextrous thrower. How are you getting the disc to Tiny Finn?
Right-handed double helix thumb hammer.
Oh my God.
Right-handed double helix thumb hammer. I know what he's talking about. He hucks it deep. It's a double helix thumb hammer. Does Tiny Finn get it?
Oh, Tiny Finn definitely.
Of course Tiny Finn gets it. That's it. That's it. It's game over. It's Universe Point, baby. The confetti is up. GG's.
Oh God. I don't have the sound bite. Hold on.
Hooray!
Hooray. I can't find the hooray.
Inquisitive hooray!
Rogue celebration. I got it in my water. You guys, come on. Surely wiser words were never spoken.
Yeah, that's right. And you heard that on
Or to be
wild.
Definitely not born to be mild this week.